Chapter 479. 479 Chapter 479 Rather die than surrender. Lin Shui, the sect leader of the mystical sword sect and a half-step king, had been injured by Qiu Changkong in one move. Moreover, Qiu Changkong didn't seem to be using his full strength. Qiu Changkong's combat strength was way too terrifying. Everyone from the mystical sword sect was shocked. Don't think that you can stop me just because you're a half-step king. Let me tell you, you're just an ant in front of me. Qiu Changkong looked down at Lin Shui arrogantly. Lin Shui's expression was extremely ugly, and her figure quickly retreated. At the same time, Ling Patian also followed Lin Shui, and the two of them retreated back to the mountain gate. Activate the sect's protective array. Lin Shui shouted. Buzz! Buzz! As Lin Shui's voice rang out, the 5 peaks of the mystical sword sect Qilin Peak, Azure Dragon Peak, Vermilion Bird Peak, Black Tortoise Peak, and White Tiger Peak started to shake slightly. Then, a beam of extremely bright light shot out from each of them. The 5 rays of light gathered and formed a huge light screen formation, enveloping the entire mystical sword sect. Within the formation, endless sword qi swam, protecting the mystical sword sect. This formation had been destroyed by the Duanmu family from the inside during the battle at the mystical sword sect. Now, it had been completely repaired, and it was even more powerful than before. You want to stop me? Dream on. Qiu Changkong coldly snorted as his bloodline power appeared. At the same time, a combat sword crackling with lightning appeared in his hand. Slash! Die! Qiu Changkong shouted as he slashed out with his combat sword. A dazzling sword qi of lightning slashed at the mystical sword sect's protective formation. Buzz! The mystical sword sect's protective formation trembled slightly. With a flash of light, it formed a sword ray as large as a mountain. It flew out and collided with Qiu Changkong's sword qi. With a loud boom, the 2 sword radiances disappeared. Everyone in the mystical sword sect heaved a sigh of relief. With the sect protecting formation, it would not be easy for the other party to break through it. Detestable! Qiu Changkong bellowed in rage, wanting to continue his attack. Junior brother, let me do it. At this moment, a calm voice could be heard. Following that, Xue Chao stepped forward with his hands behind his back and appeared in front of Qiu Changkong. Senior brother. It's great that you're here. Qiu Changkong was overjoyed. Xue Chao nodded his head and turned to look at the mystical sword sect. His eyes revealed a hint of disdain as he said, "It's just a small formation, a child's play. Who can it stop?" After saying that, Xue Chao took another step forward and appeared in the sky above the mystical sword sect, looking down at the entire sect. Who is this person? Lin Shui and the others were worried. Boom! Right at this moment, Xue Chao's aura completely erupted without the slightest restraint. A vast and terrifying aura filled the entire mystical sword sect. When Lin Shui and the other half-step kings sensed this aura, their faces went pale. A king, this is the aura of a king, this is a king. Lin Shui shouted in shock, her eyes filled with shock. How could this be? Even the king tiers of the Empyrean Heaven's divine guards have been mobilized. Ling Patian also roared. What? This was a king tier. Heavens, such a young king tier. We're finished, we're finished. The mystical sword sect was in an uproar. Countless shocked gazes looked at Xue Chao in the air. When he saw the expressions of the people from the mystical sword sect, Xue Chao only felt his entire body relax, and his heart was extremely pleased. He loved this kind of reverent expression. Just a small formation, break it for me. Xue Chao shouted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the endless power of thunder and lightning between heaven and earth converged towards Xue Chao. A 1,000-meter-long lightning sword appeared out of thin air and slashed down at the mystical sword sect. Activate the formation, defend with all your might. Lin Shui roared. Buzz! The sect-protecting array shook violently. Endless light gathered and formed a shocking giant sword, which blasted towards the thunderbolt sword that Xue Chao had slashed out. Boom! There was a loud noise, but this time, the huge sword formed by the mystical sword sect's sect-protecting formation collapsed instantly. The giant lightning sword did not stop and continued to slash at the mystical sword sect's protective formation. Boom! With an earth-shattering boom, the mystical sword sect's protective formation collapsed. Bang! Bang! 5 consecutive explosions occurred on the Qilin Peak and the other 5 peaks. Smoke and dust filled the air, and wails could be heard. This was the explosion of the array base of the sect-protecting array. Those who controlled the array were either dead or injured. Countless people from the mystical sword sect were dumbfounded as they looked at Xue Chao with incomparable fear. Oh my god, the sect's protective array has been broken. It was broken in one move. How can he be so strong? Is this the power of a king? Countless people cried out in horror. Lin Shui, Ling Patian, Hua Qi, and the others all looked at Xue Chao, their eyes filled with fear. It was too powerful. In front of this power, they were just ants. Not only them, even Qiu Wuyang and the Sun Legion's powerhouses looked at Xue Chao with respect. A king had already exceeded the limits of an ordinary person. Ha ha ha, what formation! He can't even block one move from my senior brother. Qiu Changkong laughed heartily. Everyone, listen up. Prepare for battle. Lin Shui shouted. What could he do at this stage? Only a battle. Humph, you guys want to fight me? You're not even enough for me to kill. How about this, I'll give you a chance. As long as you surrender, I'll spare your lives. Who wants to surrender? Xue Chao sneered as he swept his gaze across the entire mystical sword sect. Some people's eyes immediately flickered, clearly moved. Listen up, people of the mystical sword sect. We'd rather die than live in dishonor. If we surrender, we'll be cursed for 1,000 generations. I'd rather die than surrender. Lin Shui shouted. The people of my Crimson Cloud Valley would rather die than surrender. Ling Patian also roared. The members of the imperial family will never surrender. Hua Qi also called out. Ha, good, very good. In that case, I'll give you a few days to consider. If you want to surrender, you can come out and find me. If you don't surrender when the time is up, I'll kill you without mercy. When he said the last sentence, a terrifying killing intent burst out from Xue Chao's body and enveloped the entire scene, causing many people to shiver. Surround the entire mystical sword sect and don't let a single person escape. Xue Chao ordered Qiu Wuyang. Yes. Yes. Qiu Wuyang quickly nodded. Xue Chao then turned around and walked to Qiu Changkong's side. If Lu Ming is still alive, he'll definitely rush over once he hears the news. We'll give him a few days to come and die. Xue Chao said to Qiu Changkong in a low voice. Senior brother is wise. With master's arrangements, Lu Ming will be dead if he comes back alive. Ha, I really hope he's not dead and can make it here. Then, I'll kill his friends and family in front of him and make him regret offending me. Qiu Changkong said through gritted teeth. His face was filled with cold resentment. Chapter 480. 480 Lu Ming's arrival. They had surrounded the mystical sword sect but did not kill them. Their goal was to wait for Lu Ming's arrival. Furthermore, Xue Chao and Qiu Changkong both hated and feared Lu Ming. They would not be at ease until they confirmed that Lu Ming was dead. Boom! 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 The Sun Army and the 10 Direction Sword Sect army spread out and surrounded the mystical sword sect. Xue Chao waved his hand, and a jade table and a few jade chairs immediately appeared. The tables and chairs were all floating in the air. Xue Chao was casually sitting on a chair. Chiu Changkong immediately took out a pot of fine wine and poured a cup for Xue Chao. He also poured a cup for himself and accompanied Xue Chao to drink while waiting. Lin Xue and the others had ugly expressions. The other party is using psychological warfare to force those with weak minds to surrender. This is an insult to us, Hua Qi said with a deep voice. The other party had a martial king and could easily crush them. However, they did not make a move. In their eyes, this was an insult to them. Ai. Lin Xue let out a long sigh. Even if she knew, what could she do? His strength was inferior to others. Hold your position and wait for the situation to change, Lin Xue ordered. He sat cross-legged in front of the mountain gate, staring at Chiu Changkong and the others. After which, Ling Patian, Hua Qi, and the other higher-ups also sat cross-legged at the mountain gate. Remember, if you want to live, surrender now. When I change my mind, it will be too late. Xue Chao's cold voice spread throughout the mystical sword sect as he drank. Countless people in the mystical sword sect had different expressions on their faces. Some people were filled with righteous indignation and did not fear death. Some people's eyes flickered and wavered. Time slowly passed, and the atmosphere in the mystical sword sect became more and more oppressive. I surrender, I choose to surrender. Suddenly, someone ran out from the foot of the mountain and shouted. A burly middle-aged man ran out frantically. It's a deacon from the White Tiger Hall. Damn it, after hanging out with the Duanmu family for so long, they've all become traitors. A gold-robed elder roared. Ha ha ha, good, I won't kill him if he surrenders. Sect leader Chiu, make the necessary arrangements. He will be a member of your Shifang sword sect from now on. Xue Chao laughed. Yes. Chiu Wuyang quickly nodded in agreement. I also surrender. I also want to surrender. At this moment, more people started to shout and ran outside. There were more than 10 people. Traitor! You damn traitor! Someone roared. The crowd could tell that these people were originally from the White Tiger Hall. It's good that these people have left, Lin Xue said. Then, everyone fell silent. However, the atmosphere in the mystical sword sect became even more depressing. The first day passed just like that. Other than the dozen or so people from the White Tiger Hall who had surrendered, no one else did. On the second day, the people's hearts were even more unstable. Some people were getting more and more anxious. This was like waiting for death. Who could bear it? Although Lin Xue and the rest knew about it, they had no choice. The third day. I surrender. I want to surrender. On the third day, someone finally rushed out of the mystical sword sect with a loud cry. This time, it wasn't limited to the White Tiger Hall. Even people from the other halls began to rush out of the mystical sword sect. There were bronze disciples, Esilavira disciples, and even elders. Ai. Lin Xue sighed, as if she had aged a lot in an instant. Time flew by, and it was the fourth day. On the fourth day, the number of people who surrendered suddenly exploded, and the number increased greatly. I surrender. The people who surrendered joined together. There were thousands of them. There were people from the mystical sword sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, and the Imperial family. Damn it, traitor, damn traitor. Ling Patian flew into a rage and wished he could rush out and kill those who surrendered. However, the number of people who surrendered was still increasing. On the fourth day, nearly 4,000 people surrendered. On the fifth day, the number of people who surrendered decreased, but there were still about 1,000 people. On the sixth day, Xue Chao suddenly slammed the table heavily. It's been more than 5 days. Lu Ming is still not here. In my opinion, Lu Ming is already dead. Xue Chao said. Senior brother, why don't we wait for a few more days? What if Lu Ming is still alive? Chiu Changkong replied. he was fearful of Lu Ming from the bottom of his heart. Junior brother, what are you afraid of? Let's take them all down first, then we can wait. Xuechao said. Then, all right, we'll do as senior brother says. Qiu Changkong nodded. Buzz. Xuechao stood up and took a step forward. Boom. At this moment, Lin Xue suddenly stood up, and a powerful aura burst out from her body. Who's going to fight the enemy with me? Me. Ling Padian roared. Me. And me. Shengguan Ming, Yan Quan, the other two half-step king warriors from the mystical sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley, as well as some gold-robed elders, all responded. Their auras exploded and gathered together, stirring up a storm. Roar. With a low roar, a tall figure appeared beside Lin Xue and the others. It was the golden-eyed blood corpse. Haha, a few mere half-step king warriors, and some ants who aren't even half-step king warriors, and you want to fight with me? You really don't know your place, you're simply courting death. Xuechao sneered. You're just a dog. How dare you attack the mystical sword sect? You're overestimating yourself. You're courting death. As soon as Xuechao's voice fell, another cold voice sounded. Upon hearing this voice, Xuechao and Qiu Changkong's bodies trembled violently as they exclaimed, Lu Ming. Lin Xue, Hua Qi, and the others also shuddered and shouted, Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Everyone could not help but look towards the source of the voice. In the distant sky, a bolt of lightning flashed and flew over. It was too fast. It was simply too fast. A moment ago, he was at least a few dozen miles away, but in the next moment, he was already right in front of them. With a flash of lightning, a handsome figure appeared in the sky. Who else could it be but Lu Ming? Good, we made it. Lu Ming's gaze swept across and he immediately felt at ease. For the past 5 days, he didn't sleep or rest. He rushed like crazy and finally arrived. Lu Ming, why did you come here alone? The other party has a king. Leave quickly and report this matter to the higher-ups of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Lin Xue quickly called out. That's right. Lu Ming, you should leave quickly. As the Empyrean Heaven Divine Guards, they actually abused their power and mobilized the Blood Zhao Empire's army. This is against the rules of the Empyrean Heaven Palace. As long as you report this to the higher-ups, I don't think they will dare to do anything to us. Hua Qi also cried out. The other party had a king. Lu Ming was no match for him. It was better to leave first and report the situation to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Lu Ming was a member of the Eastern Sky Divine Guard, and his status was not something they could compare to. As long as he reported the situation, the higher-ups of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace would definitely take it seriously. It's fine. Lu Ming waved his hand slightly and Lin Xue and the rest quieted down. Imperceptibly, Lu Ming had already gained great prestige in the hearts of Lin Xue and the rest. Lu Ming then turned to Qiu Changkong and Xuechao and said coldly, You two trash. I don't think you're that bold. It must be the old dog behind you who ordered you to come. Chapter 481. 481 Come to kill Lu Ming. Xuechao and Qiu Changkong's faces turned extremely ugly upon hearing this. How dare you insult my master? You're courting death. Xuechao shouted. Insulting your master? I call him old dog because I think highly of him. Today, I'll kill you first, and then I'll kill that old dog. Lu Ming said coldly. Lin Xue and the others were stunned when they heard this. Although they didn't know who Xuechao's master was, Xuechao himself was a king tier. From this, they could tell that Xuechao's master was definitely extraordinary. Moreover, what did Lu Ming say? To kill Xuechao. Kill a king. They felt that their brains were a little overwhelmed. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you want to kill me? You're the one who's going to die today. Xuechao leaped up and laughed wildly. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered. He took a step forward and walked towards Xue Chao. Lu Ming, don't be afraid of you because of me. I'll let you have a taste of my newly cultivated unique skill, Lightning Fairy Slash. Xue Chao roared. A combat sword flickering with lightning appeared in his hand. The aura of a martial king erupted from his body. He became one with his sword and turned into a flash of lightning sword radiance, charging toward Lu Ming. Be careful! Lin Xue and the others shouted in shock. However, it was too late. The sword light was in front of Lu Ming in an instant. It was too fast. At this moment, they were in despair. They thought that Lu Ming would most likely die under this sword. However, what happened next petrified them. Buzz! With one hand behind his back, Lu Ming slapped with his other hand. Then, Xue Chao's attacks, sword chi, lightning, all of them were instantly destroyed. Pa! A resounding slap reverberated throughout the entire mystical sword sect. Lu Ming slapped Xue Chao's face. Xue Chao was sent flying a few thousand meters and spun a few hundred times in the air before he stopped. One side of his face was swollen like a pig's head. All of his teeth had fallen out, and blood was constantly flowing down. However, Xue Chao did not seem to have any reaction to this. He widened his eyes and looked at Lu Ming with a dumbfounded expression. Qiu Changkong, Qiu Wuyang, and the Sun Army were all dumbfounded. Lin Xue, Ling Patian, Hua Qi, Yan Quan, and the others from the mystical sword sect were also completely dumbfounded. The entire place was silent as everyone stared at the scene in shock. Xue Chao was a king tier. He was extremely powerful. 5 days ago, Xue Chao had destroyed the mystical sword sect's sect protecting formation with a casual strike of his sword. His strength was so powerful that it made people despair. However, such a powerful king had unleashed his full strength to kill Lu Ming, only to be sent flying by Lu Ming's slap as if he was a chick. What was going on? How was this possible? Everyone's brain seemed to have short-circuited, and they couldn't react for a moment. Martial King, Lu Ming, you've broken through to the Martial King realm. After a long while, Xue Chao finally let out a hysterical scream. His voice was filled with disbelief. It had only been a short while, and Lu Ming had already broken through to the Martial King realm. It was hard for him to accept this. After all, he had been stuck at the half-step king realm for many years. He had accumulated for many years before he had broken through by luck. However, how long had it been since Lu Ming left? Monster, he's a monster. Xue Chao felt his heart trembling, exuding endless fear. Whoosh! However, Xue Chao's shrieks had ignited the entire mystical sword sect. What? Why did Lu Ming break through to the Martial King realm? Martial King! Ha ha ha, the mystical sword sect has finally given birth to a Martial King. Hey, Lu Ming has left the mystical sword sect long ago. I don't care. I'm certain that he's from the mystical sword sect. Such a young Martial King. This is unbelievable. We're saved. Regardless of whether it was the disciples of the mystical sword sect or the disciples of the Crimson Cloud Valley, they were so overjoyed that they almost lost their minds. They only knew how to roar crazily to express the ecstasy and excitement in their hearts. Among them, there were even many elders who were of a certain age who were the same. Chapter 482. 482 Chapter 482 This kid is a monster. Now, how could Lu Ming not understand? From the moment he accepted the mission, it was a chain of events. In the process of doing the mission, Song Ku and the bald man had been bribed by the Thunder Palace Master to kill him. It would be best if he could kill Lu Ming during that mission. If Lu Ming had not died, they would have disclosed the news of Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao attacking the mystical sword sect to Lu Ming. Lu Ming would have rushed back at all costs, and the master of the Thunder Palace had already set up experts here, waiting for Lu Ming to take the bait and kill him in one fell swoop. The purpose of the consecutive traps was to kill Lu Ming. After the one-eyed man's group of 5 heard this, they sneered a few times and didn't say anything, which could be considered as tacit agreement. Ha, Lu Ming, let's see how arrogant you can be now. Today is the day you die. Chiu Changkong finally stopped running when he saw the one-eyed man and the other 4. He became braver and laughed out loud as he looked at Lu Ming with contempt. Kill him. Kill him. No, don't kill him yet. Cripple him. I want to kill his family and friends one by one in front of him. I want him to see his family die miserably in front of him. I want him to regret it. I want him to die in regret. Xue Chao shouted crazily. He had been abused by Lu Ming time and time again. His hatred for Lu Ming had seeped deep into his bones. If you 2 little dogs don't run now, you won't have the chance later. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at Chiu Changkong and Xue Chao. The 2 of them couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts, but when they thought about the one-eyed man and the others, their courage was boosted. So what if Lu Ming had broken through to the Martial King realm? He had only just broken through to the Martial King realm. The gap between each level of the Martial King realm was extremely huge. No matter how monstrous Lu Ming was, it was impossible for him to cross 2 levels in the Martial King realm and fight the one-eyed man. Moreover, there were 4 other experts assisting him. Lu Ming was dead for sure. Lu Ming, cut the crap. Die. The one-eyed man's body gave off a shocking aura. Big brother, he's just a young fellow who has just broken through to the Martial King realm. Why do you need to do anything to him? I'd like to see what this Eastern Sky Divine Guard is capable of. Another burly man walked out. He held a long spear in his hand, revealing his sharp edge. That's good. 5th brother, you go first. Let's see what this Eastern Sky Divine Guard is capable of. Some people are very strong in the Martial Ancestor realm, but after breaking through to the Martial King realm, they become ordinary. Therefore, the combat power of a Martial Ancestor doesn't mean that after breaking through to the Martial King realm, their combat power will remain so strong. The one-eyed man said. No matter how talented Lu Ming is, he can still fight above his level. That Great Han Dynasty's early stage of the 2nd-tier Martial King realm cultivation base should have no worries in protecting himself, the one-eyed man thought to himself. Ha, good. The burly man strode towards Lu Ming, the aura on his body extremely violent. He shouted coldly, Lu Ming, die. Buzz. The burly man thrust the long spear in his hand. An extremely sharp spear pierced through the void and headed toward Lu Ming. Since you're looking for death, I'll send you on your way first. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. True Dragon Strike. Roar. Lu Ming thrust his spear forward and a 3-colored True Dragon pounced forward, roaring furiously. Boom. The tip of the man's spear was crushed by the 3-colored dragon's claw, but it didn't stop and continued to pounce on the man. 5th brother, be careful. The one-eyed man roared. But it was too late. The 3-colored True Dragon crashed into the burly man's body. The burly man screamed as his body was sent flying like a broken sack. Blood spurted out of his mouth. One move and he was heavily injured. Die. A lightning spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a wave of his hand, the lightning spear turned into a bolt of lightning and stabbed at the burly man. It was too fast for the other party to dodge. Puchi. The lightning spear pierced through the opponent's chest, blasting a huge hole. Ah, big brother, avenge me. The burly man didn't die for a while. He let out a shrill scream and then died. 5th brother. 5th brother. The remaining 4 burly men all let out shrill roars. Lin Shui and the rest of the mystical sword sect members were dumbfounded. Although the martial king realm was beyond their knowledge, they could still tell from their auras that the 5 men were extremely powerful. Each of them was several times stronger than Xue Chao. However, such a powerful expert, an existence that they looked up to, was killed by Lu Ming in 2 moves. Lu Ming's combat strength had simply exceeded their imagination. My God, it's only been a short while and Lu Ming has already grown to such a level. As expected, the Blazing Sun Empire is too small. It's like a quagmire, while Lu Ming is a true dragon. Only when a true dragon is free from the quagmire can it soar to the 9 heavens and display its true glory. The old ancestor of the Ghost Moon Saber sect, Shengguan Ming, muttered to himself. On the other hand, Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao were the complete opposite. Their faces were pale and bloodless. Xue Chao, in particular, was drenched in cold sweat. If Lu Ming had wanted to kill him just now, he would have been dead. He shivered at the thought of this. How could this be? How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? Why? How did he cultivate? God, why are you so unfair? Why can't I be the one who's so strong? Qiu Changkong glared at Lu Ming with extreme jealousy, roaring in his heart. Lu Ming, how dare you kill my 5th brother? You deserve to die. Kill. Let's attack together and tear Lu Ming into 1,000 pieces. Don't let a single one of his family off. The one-eyed man roared. Kill. Kill. The eyes of the other burly men were red and they emitted a sharp killing intent. A long spear appeared in each of their hands. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 4 burly men joined forces and launched an earth-shattering attack at Lu Ming. You're the ones who will die. Go! Lu Ming shouted. With a wave of his hand, endless power of thunder and lightning gathered between heaven and earth and condensed into a long spear. This long spear of thunder and lightning exuded a terrifying thunder concept. Lightning flickered as if it was the might of heaven. The experts from the mystical sword sect, the Sun Legion, and the 10 Direction sword sect, such as Qiu Wuyang, widened their eyes and stared at Lu Ming in a daze. Under this pressure, it was as if they were facing the might of the heavens. Their entire bodies trembled and they almost knelt down. Is this Lu Ming's ability? Their hearts trembled as they thought. The initial success of the 1st-level thunder mentality? Impossible. Didn't you just break through to the martial king realm? How is that possible? The one-eyed man let out a terrified roar. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on them. He shouted and thrust his long spear forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! 4 spearlights instantly pierced through the void and stabbed toward the 4 burly men. Bang! 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 With 4 loud bangs, the attacks of the 4 burly men were destroyed at the same time, but the lightning spear did not stop and continued to pierce through them. Then, there were 3 shrill screams. Except for the one-eyed man, the other 3 men followed the footsteps of the previous man. Their chests were pierced by the lightning spear, and their hearts were completely burned by the power of lightning. 2nd brother, 3rd brother, 4th brother. Although the one-eyed man managed to escape, he still coughed up blood and roared. Big brother, run. This guy is a monster. You're not his match. A burly man roared and then died. Ah, Lu Ming, I'll fight you to the death. The one-eyed man let out a long roar, his killing intent soaring to the sky. In an instant, at least thousands of Sun Army soldiers were struck to death by lightning. Including the few half-step kings in the lead, they were all killed. Attack! Everyone, attack! Annihilate the 10 Direction sword sect and the Sun Army. Lin Shui shouted. Everyone, attack! Ling Patian also roared. Buzz! Whoosh! Figures rushed out from the mystical sword sect and headed for the 10 Direction sword sect and the Sun Army. Kill! The martial artists below the martial arts grandmaster realm also roared in anger and charged out of the mystical sword sect. How did this happen? Qiu Wuyang, the head of the 10 Directions sword sect, let out a shrill cry and ran away. He couldn't care about the other people from the 10 Directions sword sect. Even if everyone died, how could it compare to his life? However, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Lu Ming. Qiu Wuyang shouted in fear. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath. He kicked Qiu Wuyang's dantian and Qiu Wuyang followed in Qiu Changkong's footsteps. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and dozens of lightning spears appeared. The next moment, they shot out. In the army of the Omnidirectional Sword Sect and the Sun Legion, all the martial artists above the 9th level of the Martial Grandmaster realm were killed by the lightning spear. After killing these people, Lu Ming did not make any more moves. He stood quietly in the void and began to refine the blood essence of the One-Eyed Man and the others. With the death of the senior executives of the 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Sun Army, the rest were like a pile of loose sand. They were no match for Lin Shui and the others at all. It was a one-sided slaughter. Therefore, there was no need for Lu Ming to take action. Boom! 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 The blood essence of the One-Eyed Man and the others was extremely rich. Lu Ming converted half of it into essential core and used the other half to improve his second bloodline. A moment later, the second bloodline trembled and the 6th Asilavira chakra appeared. His second bloodline had also advanced to the 6th level of the king class. After a while, the second bloodline reached the limit of the 6th level of the king class. Lu Ming's cultivation had also increased a little, reaching the peak of the early phase of the 1st level of the Martial King realm. 1 lever 3 Martial King realm, 4 lever 2 Martial King realm, and 1 lever 1 Martial King realm, but they only helped me improve my cultivation by this little. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. It seemed like he would need even more resources to raise his cultivation after breaking through to the Martial King realm. Not far away, the battle cries shook the heavens, but it was a completely one-sided situation. Not long after, the sounds of fighting died down. Only a few of the people from the 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Sun Legion had escaped. Most of them had been killed. This was especially so for the higher-ups of the 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Heavenly Fiend Sect. This time, in order to destroy the Mystic Essence Sword Sect in one fell swoop, the 10 Directions Sword Sect had sent out 9th level experts and 8th level experts from the Heavenly Fiend Sect. In this battle, they were completely annihilated. This included the sect leaders of the 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Heavenly Fiend Sect. Roar! At this moment, a roar was heard. Lu Ming looked over. Golden Eye. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The golden-eyed blood corpse was wrapped in a thick blood aura. The blood aura gathered and formed a huge blood cocoon in the air. The golden eye just absorbed the blood of the One-Eyed Man and the others. After absorbing the king's blood, it seems like it's going to evolve again. Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile. Buzz! Whoosh! At that moment, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Lin Shui, Ling Patian, Shengguan Ming, Yan Quan, and the rest appeared not far from Lu Ming. Lu! No, I pay my respects to the king. Lin Shui initially wanted to call out to Lu Ming, but she immediately reacted and bowed with cupped fists. Greetings, Lord King. The others also bowed and cupped their fists. Chapter 484. 484 Qiu Changkong in despair. In the world of martial Dao, strength came first. The stronger one was, the higher one's status would be. It had nothing to do with seniority. At that moment, Lin Shui and the rest looked at Lu Ming with respect and awe. The Blazing Sun Empire had finally given birth to another king, and one that was so young. Their hearts were trembling with excitement. 5 days ago, Xue Chao had displayed the strength of a king tier and destroyed the mystical sword sect's protective formation with a single move. Just how powerful was he? They were already in despair. However, he did not expect that the moment Lu Ming appeared, the situation would be completely reversed. With Bini Tian's spirit, he finished off his opponent. In the crowd, Yan Quan's mood was extremely complicated. In his mind, all kinds of situations in the Dark Moon Empire's Mo family emerged. At that time, Lu Ming was so weak that there was a huge difference between them. However, only a short while had passed and the situation had reversed. Now, Lu Ming was much stronger than him. So this is the legendary Heaven's favorite. I didn't expect to meet him here. Yan Quan sighed. Let's go back to the sect. Lu Ming said. Outside the mystical sword sect, there were naturally many people who had to deal with the aftermath. Lu Ming and the rest had already returned to the mountain gate. Lu Ming, I beg you. Let me go. Send me the message. As soon as Lu Ming returned to the mountain gate, Chiu Changkong started to plead hysterically. At this moment, Chiu Changkong's cultivation had been crippled, and all the meridians in his body had been broken. He was worse than an ordinary person, and he was lying on the ground, begging for mercy. Changkong, what's there to ask for? The winner takes it all. At most, I'll just die. Chiu Wuyang was similar to Chiu Changkong, but he was much more unyielding. He sat on the ground and shouted coldly. Shut up, old man. It's all because of you. I, Chiu Changkong, am a genius. I should have had a bright future. It's all because of your ambition that I offended Lu Ming and ended up in this state. It's all because of you, old man. You should die now. Chiu Changkong glared at Chiu Wuyang and screamed madly. You. Chiu Wuyang looked at Chiu Changkong in shock. He couldn't believe that Chiu Changkong would speak to him in such a manner. Lu Ming, it's all this old man's fault. It's all his fault. He instigated me. If you want to kill someone, kill him. I'm innocent. Chiu Changkong shouted. Is that so? Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Then, he flew toward a mountain behind the mystical sword sect. There was a small mountain at the back of the mystical sword sect. There was a courtyard on the mountain, and Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were staying there. Brother Tian, it should be Ming, He'll be fine, right? Li Ping said worriedly. Just now, Chiu Changkong and the others had shouted Lu Ming's name and the news had spread throughout the mystical sword sect. Naturally, they had heard it as well. Ming, is a genius. He should be fine. Don't worry. Lu Yuntian consoled. Even though he said that, his eyes were filled with worry. The battle just now was too shocking. It shook the earth and lightning flashed like the scene of the end of the world. This scene had already exceeded their scope of knowledge. Therefore, they could not help but be worried that Lu Ming would encounter unimaginable enemies. Master, Madam. At this moment, a burly man ran in hurriedly. How is it? How's the situation? Li Ping asked hurriedly. Master, Madam, it's a great victory. Young Master Lu Ming has returned and killed his opponent. Now, the 10 Direction Sword sect is almost destroyed. The large man said excitedly. Really? Really? Lu Yuntian's eyes widened in shock. In his heart, the omnipresent sword sect was simply an invincible force. It dominated the Burning Sun Empire and was extremely powerful. Now, it was actually almost destroyed. How was that possible? Could it be that Ming, did it? Lu Yuntian thought to himself. Master, Madam, I have another piece of great news. Young Master Lu Ming seems to have become a king, a high and mighty king of martial arts. The middle-aged man said excitedly. Even his voice trembled as he said this. What? Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were stunned. King. Ming, has become a king tier. After a long while, they finally reacted. Their eyes revealed a look of disbelief, and also extreme excitement. With their previous status, it was naturally impossible for them to come into contact with king-level powerhouses. Even grandmaster-level powerhouses were difficult to come into contact with. However, they had already heard of the name of a king tier countless times. They were all legendary figures who were like immortals with the ability to destroy the world. They lived for thousands of years and overlooked the changes in the world. The Blazing Sun Empire had not had a king for over 1,000 years. Now, their son had actually become such a character. They thought they were dreaming. Lu Chun is. Is it true? Lu Yuntian's voice trembled slightly. He had been a true martial artist in the past, so he knew better what a king tier meant. In the past, the Grandmaster realm had been Lu Yuntian's lifelong goal. As for becoming a king, he did not even dare to think about it. Now, his son, Lu Ming, had actually reached it. It's true. There's absolutely no mistake. The middle-aged man said firmly. Buzz. At this moment, the space trembled, and a figure appeared. The few of them were shocked, but when they focused their eyes, they couldn't help but be ecstatic. Ming. Li Ping quickly walked to Lu Ming and sized him up carefully. In her eyes, Lu Ming was her son regardless of whether he was a king or not. Father, mother, Ming has returned to see you. Lu Ming said. Ming, You've broken through to the king's realm? Lu Yuntian asked. His voice was trembling as he looked at Lu Ming with anticipation. Father, I was lucky enough to break through 5 days ago. Lu Ming scratched his head and said. Ha ha ha, he's really broken through to the king's tier. Ha ha ha, this is great. My son is a king's tier, and he's so young. After receiving Lu Ming's affirmative answer, Lu Yuntian was incomparably excited. He laughed heartily. He was even happier than when he broke through to the king tier himself. Father, I've come today to ask you to understand an old matter. Lu Ming said. An old matter? Lu Yuntian was a little puzzled. Father, mother, come with me. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming conjured a curtain of true energy that enveloped Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. Then, he turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared in a flash. In the next moment, they appeared in front of the mystical sword sect's main gate. This. So fast. Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were extremely shocked. The mountain was dozens of miles away from the mystical sword sect, but they arrived in an instant. In their eyes, such a method was no different from a god's. However, this person was their son, which made them even happier. Greetings, Old Master Lu, Madam Lu. When Lin Shui and the rest saw Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, they immediately bowed and did not dare to show any neglect. Sect leader Lin, seniors, you are too polite, too polite. Lu Yuntian hurriedly returned the bow. Qiu Changkong. At this moment, Lu Yuntian's gaze swept across the area and he saw Qiu Changkong. Chapter 485. 485 The only one in the world above the divine wilderness. Lu Yuntian, no, Old Master Lu, no, Uncle Lu, I beg you to spare me. When Qiu Changkong saw Lu Yuntian, he cried out hysterically. Ha, Qiu Changkong, you still have the face to ask me to spare you? Ha, you've finally fallen to such an end. The heavens have eyes. Lu Yuntian burst out laughing. Uncle Lu, it was my fault in the past. I was blind and blinded by greed. I was wrong. Please, on account of my young and ignorant age, spare my dog life. Qiu Changkong wailed in anguish, tears and snot streaming down his face. Lu Ming was quite impressed with this. Tears and snot were flowing out of her eyes and nose. Qiu Changkong, shut up. You're a disgrace to the Qiu family. Qiu Wuyang shouted. Old man, you shut up. What's the Qiu family? How much is it worth? Don't mention the Chiu family to me. Chiu Changkong shouted. You. Chiu Wuyang was so angry that he almost vomited blood. His chest heaved up and down, and his eyes were filled with disappointment. Was this still the genius of his Chiu family that only appeared once in 1,000 years? It was simply embarrassing. Old man. All of a sudden, Chiu Changkong's eyes narrowed as he struggled to his feet. He took out a dagger and walked toward Chiu Wuyang. The eyes of Lu Ming, Lin Shui, and the rest flashed, but they did not make a move. Evil creature, what do you want to do? Chiu Wuyang roared. What are you doing? It's all your fault, go to hell. Chiu Changkong's eyes were filled with ruthlessness as he stabbed the dagger in his hand toward Chiu Wuyang. Chiu Wuyang roared and rolled to the side, dodging the attack, but Chiu Changkong immediately followed up with another attack. This time, Chiu Wuyang couldn't avoid it anymore. The dagger pierced through his back and blood flowed out. Evil creature, evil creature. Chiu Wuyang roared. His eyes were filled with despair, unwillingness, and disbelief. He could not believe that Chiu Changkong would kill him. In the end, he let out an unwilling roar and died. On the side, Lin Shui, Ling Patian, and the others had complicated expressions. Chiu Wuyang, the overlord of the Blazing Sun Empire, a half-step king of his generation, and a formidable character who had almost unified the entire Blazing Sun Empire, had been killed by his most valued junior. It was truly a miserable scene. Lu Ming, Uncle Lu, look, I'm truly remorseful. I've even killed Chiu Wuyang. I beg you, please let me go. Chiu Changkong knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. If I let such a person go, even the heavens would not agree. Lu Yuntian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lu Ming flicked his fingers and 4 long spears were condensed from his essential core. They flew out and nailed Chiu Changkong's limbs to the ground. Chiu Changkong let out a shrill cry. Lu Ming moved his hand and a combat sword appeared. He said, Father, Chiu Changkong's life is in our hands now. Lu Yuntian had once been captured by Chiu Changkong and tortured for 8 years. In this world, the person who should kill Chiu Changkong the most was Lu Yuntian. Moreover, Lu Ming also knew that Lu Yuntian had always had this knot in his heart. All right. Lu Yuntian took the sword and walked toward Chiu Changkong. No, Uncle Lu, don't kill me. Chiu Changkong was still begging for mercy. Shut up, Uncle Lu. You're not fit to call me that. Die. Die. Lu Yuntian shouted coldly and slashed out with his sword. Chiu Wuyang's head flew high into the air. Who? After killing Chiu Changkong, Lu Yuntian seemed to have been relieved of a heavy burden and heaved a long sigh of relief. Ming, thank you for letting me kill Chiu Changkong. Lu Yuntian said to Lu Ming. Father, you and I are father and son. There is no need to thank me. This is what I should do. Unfortunately, I still couldn't find a treasure that can help you recover. Lu Ming sighed. Ha, Ming, there's no need to force it. I'm already very satisfied with your current achievements. Lu Yuntian laughed. Father, Mother, why don't I see Chiu Yu? Lu Ming asked curiously. Lu Ming did not see Chiu Yu from the beginning. It was very strange. It was impossible for Chiu Yu to leave Lu Yuntian and Li Ping's side after such a huge battle. At the mention of Chiu Yu, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping's expressions changed slightly. Lu Ming naturally noticed the change in their expressions. He could not help but feel his heart skip a beat. Did something happen to Chiu Yu? Lu Ming could not help but feel anxious. Father, Mother, Chiu Yu, what happened to her? Lu Ming asked. Ming, don't worry. Chiu Yu is fine. Li Ping said hurriedly. Then why don't I see her? Sigh, it's a long story. Ming, let's go back to our residence first and talk about it in detail. Lu Yuntian sighed. All right. Then, Lu Ming waved his hand and returned to the courtyard where Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were staying. As for the matters outside, he would leave it to Lin Shui and the others to handle. After returning to the courtyard, Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping sat down on the stone bench in the courtyard. Ming, Chiu Yu left 3 months ago. Li Ping sighed. There was a hint of reluctance in her eyes. He left? Where did she go? Lu Ming asked. Ming, it's like this. About 3 months ago, a middle-aged woman suddenly appeared. She said that she saw Chiu Yu's talent and that Chiu Yu's bloodline was suitable for her to inherit her legacy. She wanted to take Chiu Yu as her disciple and take her away from this place. Lu Yuntian explained. Ah. There's such a thing. Lu Ming was a little surprised. That's right. According to that middle-aged woman, she was traveling the world to find a suitable successor. She found Chiu Yu based on the resonance of her bloodline and was determined to take Chiu Yu as her disciple. At first, Chiu Yu and I were against it, but later on, that middle-aged woman revealed a shocking method. With a wave of her hand, the day suddenly turned into night. The most amazing thing is that she can tear the space apart. It's simply a divine technique. Seeing the opponent's incredible technique, I've decided to let Chiu Yu go with her. After all, it's good for Chiu Yu. Lu Yuntian said. What? With a wave of his hand, he can turn day into night, and he can even tear through space. Lu Ming was extremely shocked. What kind of technique was this? It was too terrifying. That's right. However, that girl Chiu Yue only wanted to wait for you to return and was unwilling to acknowledge you as her master. In the end, she was forcefully taken away by that middle-aged woman. Lu Yuntian said. Forcefully taken away. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. That's right, but Ming, you don't have to worry. I think that woman really wants to take Chiu Yu as her disciple. She shouldn't make things difficult for Chiu Yu. Lu Yuntian said. Although he said this, Lu Ming still felt very uncomfortable. Could it be that he would never be able to see Chiu Yu again? Father, mother, did the other party leave any news? Did he say which sect he's from? Lu Ming asked. The other party only left behind one sentence, and that was, in the divine wilderness, there is only one in the world. Lu Yuntian said. The only one in the world in the divine wilderness? What's the meaning of this? Lu Ming was stunned and he fell into deep thought. Chapter 486. 486 Killing their way to the imperial capital. Above the divine wilderness? Could it be in the divine wilderness? It was said that beyond the divine wilderness continent, there were other continents. However, that was too far away and was only a legend. Also, what did he mean by the only one in the world? Lu Ming could not understand. Ming, don't worry. Nothing will happen to Chiu Yu. When she's successful in her cultivation, she might come back to look for you. That girl will miss you. Seeing that Lu Ming was a little unhappy, Lu Yuntian tried to console him. Father, mother, I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled slightly and composed himself. Following that, he began to chat with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. An hour later, Lu Ming took his leave. Lu Ming strode into the mystical sword sect's meeting hall. Lin Shui and the others were all inside. When they saw Lu Ming enter, they quickly stood up and saluted him. Greetings, Lord King. We're all acquaintances, so there's no need to be so polite. Hua Qi, I promised you that I would let you personally destroy the 10 Direction Sword School. Now, the time has come. Lu Ming waved his hand and said very directly. Hua Qi's face was filled with ecstasy. He came to Lu Ming and bowed deeply. Brother Lu, Hua Qi will remember this and be extremely grateful to be able to get his revenge. Ha, Hua Qi, with our relationship, there's no need to be so polite. Let's go. We'll go to the imperial capital first and help you take back the imperial capital. Then, we'll kill our way to the 10 Direction Sword School. Lu Ming said. Let's go together. Lin Shui, Ling Patian, and the others said. Okay, sect leader Lin, Hua Qi, and I will leave first. You guys bring the martial ancestor and above experts and follow. Lu Ming said. After all, he still had to leave the aftermath to Lin Shui and the others. With that, Lu Ming's quintessential essence rolled up and he disappeared with Hua Qi. Gather all the experts above the martial ancestor realm and we can set off. Lin Shui ordered. Lu Ming brought Hua Qi with him and left the mystical sword sect as fast as lightning, heading for the imperial capital. 10,000 miles away from the mystical sword sect, an army was charging towards the sect at high speed. This army was scarlet in color and exuded a terrifying aura. It was Lu Ming's crimson-scaled wolf cavalry. Ow! Ow! Wolf howls rang out as the blood-red cavalry charged forward. It could be seen that every soldier was soaked in blood. They had obviously gone through an intense battle. Hurry, hurry up. Just now, the 10 Direction Sword Sect's army of 100,000 and the Sun Army broke through the encirclement and charged towards the mystical sword sect. They used the other troops to hold us back. They must be attacking the mystical sword sect. We must rush back to help. Huaying was extremely anxious and kept shouting. During this period of time, the blood-red iron cavalry had been led by Huaying. General, there are extremely powerful experts in the 10 Direction Sword School and the Sun Army. Even if we rush over, I'm afraid it'll be of no use. A deputy general at the side said. Even if it's useless, we still have to go. The Marquis Champion's family is in the mystical sword sect, and the 8th prince is above them. Even if we're completely annihilated, we still have to go and save him. Huaying scolded. Yes, General. The deputy general responded. What's that? Suddenly, a deputy general looked at the sky in the distance. Huaying and the others also looked over. At the end of the horizon, there was a bolt of lightning that was rapidly approaching. In the next moment, the lightning appeared in the sky above them. The lightning receded, and 2 young figures appeared in the sky. What's that? Crown. The Marquis Champion. It's really the Marquis Champion. The Marquis Champion is back, and the 8th prince is back as well. The blood-red cavalry instantly cried out in shock. Your subordinate greets the Marquis Champion and the 8th prince. Huaying hurriedly rushed up to the sky and bowed. Your subordinate greets the Marquis Champion and the 8th prince. All the blood-red iron cavalry saluted Lu Ming and Hua Qi. However, the first person they called out to was Lu Ming, followed by the 8th prince. Ha ha ha. My beloved official is right. Heavenly King Zhen laughed wildly and was extremely proud. Chapter 487. 487 Chapter 487 Death with a single glance. After that, the other officials all started to flatter him, causing the Heavenly King to laugh so much that he couldn't close his mouth. Right now, the situation of the Burning Sun Empire was no longer in question. His position as the Emperor of the Burning Sun Empire was almost stable, so he was naturally happy. As for whether or not he was a puppet of the 10 Direction Sword School, who cared? As long as he sat on the Emperor's throne, he could enjoy it without restraint. The Heavenly King Zhen was surrounded by women on the left and on the right. His hands wandered around the 2 beautiful girls' bodies, and he felt extremely good. Just as he was feeling good, suddenly, a burly man in iron armor rushed in with an anxious face. Your Majesty, bad news, bad news. The burly man roared. Heaven Suppression King's face darkened, and he said coldly, Su Feng, what's the matter that you're in such a panic? Can't you see that I'm inviting all the civil and military officials to discuss the country's affairs? How are you going to conquer the world with me in the future if you're so uncollected? He's simply embarrassing me. Men, drag Su Feng away and give him 100 strokes of the stick as a warning to the others. Heavenly King Zhen waved his hand and 2 tall guards walked towards Su Feng. Your Majesty, let me finish. There's an urgent message from the front. The Mystic Essence Sword Sect has been in a great battle. The 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Sun Army have been annihilated. Qiu Wuyang and Qiu Changkong have both died. Su Feng quickly shouted. Silence. The entire place fell silent. The dancing women seemed to be frozen in time. The civil and military officials were also in a similar state. Their movements stopped, and some of them were holding their wine glasses to drink, but the wine almost fell into their nostrils. Heavenly King Zhen opened his mouth and looked at Su Feng in a daze. Then, his pupils kept enlarging and his body started to tremble. He asked in a trembling voice, Su Gan, Su Feng, are you serious? If I find out that you've lied to me, I'll execute your entire family. It's absolutely true, Your Majesty. A general from the 10 Directions Sword School was lucky enough to survive. The news only reached me through multiple voice transmission talismans. Su Feng said loudly. Clang. The purple jade cup in Heavenly King Zhen's hand fell to the ground and shattered. His face was deathly pale, without a trace of blood. First, his lips began to tremble, and then his entire body began to tremble. How could this be? How did this happen? How could the mystical sword sect kill Qiu Wuyang and the others with their strength? The Heavenly King kept mumbling to himself in disbelief. It's Marquis Champion. Marquis Champion has returned and easily killed all the experts from the 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Sun Army. Su Feng said in a trembling voice. Lu Ming, it's actually him. I knew it. We can't let him live, we can't let him live. The Heavenly King roared. The 10 Directions Sword Sect and the Sun Legion have been completely annihilated. The little bastard will definitely come to the Imperial City to avenge his father. Retreat, count the troops. Also, take all the treasures and retreat to the Blood Zhao Empire quickly to seek the protection of the Great Sun Mansion. The Heavenly King roared. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? At this moment, a cold voice rang out between heaven and earth. Then, 2 figures appeared in the sky. They were Lu Ming and Hua Qi. Seeing Hua Qi and Lu Ming, the Heavenly King's expression changed drastically. He looked at the 2 people in the sky in horror. Old man, today is the day you die. I'm going to take your head and offer it to my father's spirit in heaven. When he saw the Heavenly King, Hua Qi's eyes turned red and he revealed a bone-deep hatred. Kill them all. The Heavenly King roared. Buzz! Buzz! 6 figures rushed out of the crowd, each of them exuding the aura of a 9th-level martial ancestor. Heavenly King Zhen had actually secretly recruited 6 9th-level martial ancestor realm experts. This was quite extraordinary. What Marquis Champion? Go to hell. A middle-aged man with a cold and fierce expression slashed at Lu Ming. At the same time, the other 5 people appeared. For a moment, the world was extremely violent. The spirit chi was boiling, and all kinds of sword chi and saber chi were aimed at Lu Ming. With the 6 9th-level martial arts grandmaster powerhouses joining forces, even a large city would be instantly destroyed. Die! The Heavenly King's eyes were filled with hope. A clown! Lu Ming uttered a faint voice. He stood still in the air. Lightning flashed in his eyes, and then 6 thunderbolts shot out. Bang! Bang! With 6 crisp sounds, the 6 9th-level martial grandmasters under the Heavenly King were turned into ashes and disappeared. Bang! The heavenly king fell to the ground and his body trembled again, several times more than before. The other civil and military officials were in a similar state. They looked at Lu Ming in horror. In their eyes, the invincible ninth-grade martial arts grandmaster had turned into ashes with just one glare from Lu Ming. This was simply unbelievable. This was simply the means of a god. It was not something that human strength could match. Marquis Champion Wudi, your servant Gao Chuan, welcomes the return of the Marquis Champion and the 8th Prince. Suddenly, a sneaky-looking minister shouted from below. He looked at Lu Ming and Hua Qi with a fawning expression. What? Lu Ming and Hua Qi were slightly taken aback. Marquis Champion, 8th Prince, you don't know this, but I have always been loyal to the late Emperor. I have endured the humiliation to stay by the side of Heavenly Suppression King, waiting for the day when the 8th Prince returns. The heavens have eyes, 8th Prince, you have finally returned. Gao Chuan shouted, his face full of flattery. Damn it, this Gao Chuan is really quick to change his boat. The other officials gritted their teeth. Oh. According to what I know, when the Heavenly King of Suppression charged into the imperial capital, you were the first to surrender. You even opened the city gates and let the Heavenly King of Suppression's army in. Hua Qi sneered. Gao Chuan's expression changed drastically. He squeezed out a smile and said, 8th Prince, you've misunderstood, you've misunderstood. There's no need to explain to me. Go down and explain to my father. Buzz. Hua Qi unsheathed his sword and cut Gao Chuan in half. Old man, it's your turn now. Hua Qi looked at the Heavenly King. I'm your imperial uncle. We're blood relatives. On this account, I beg you to spare me this once. Sky King shouted. Spare you? When you killed my father, why didn't you think that he was your blood relative? Now you're saying that he's your blood relative. You're so shameless. Die. Hua Qi's eyes were like lightning as he pointed his sword at the Heavenly King's suppression. No, protect the Emperor. Guards, protect the Emperor. The Heavenly King Zhen started to shout crazily. However, no one moved. Everyone sat there in silence, not moving an inch. What a joke. 6 9th-level martial ancestor realm experts had died in an instant. They did not want to die. Chapter 488. 488 10 Square Mountain. Hua Qi, kill. Lu Ming nodded at Hua Qi at the same time, a surge of essential core flowed into Hua Qi's body. Hua Qi felt his body fill with energy. Old man, go to hell. Hua Qi shouted and charged at Heavenly King Zhen. You're the one who's going to die. Seeing that there was no way out, Heavenly King Zhen revealed a fierce look in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, a broad combat sword appeared in his hand and he slashed at Hua Qi. The Heavenly Suppression King's cultivation was not weak. He had reached the 7th level of the martial ancestor realm. Hua Qi was only a 9th-grade great martial master and had yet to break through to the martial ancestor realm. However, Hua Qi's sword contained Lu Ming's essential core. Essential core was many times more powerful than essential qi. Moreover, it was Lu Ming's essential core. Puqi. Hua Qi's sword had destroyed all of Heavenly King Zhen's attacks and split him and his sword in half. Heavenly King Zhen, dead. Ha ha ha, father, did you see that? Your son has finally avenged you. Hua Qi knelt on the ground and laughed loudly. As he laughed, tears continued to flow. It was as if he wanted to release all the hatred that had been pent up in his heart. Lu Ming did not say anything. He just watched quietly at the side. Hua Jia, don't leave. Suddenly, there was a loud roar. Lu Ming took a look and revealed a smile. It turned out that Hua Jia had wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but he had been captured by some ministers. At this moment, the Heavenly King had already died, and the officials had no loyalty left. They wanted to take out their hearts and express their feelings to Hua Qi, so how could they let Hua Jia escape? No, let me go, let me go. Hua Jia shouted in fear. Hua Jia, I'll send you to your father. Hua Qi's sword was dripping with blood as he walked toward Hua Jia. Don't kill me, don't. Hua Jia shrieked. Then, a foul smell came out. This guy actually peed his pants again. A hint of killing intent appeared in Hua Qi's eyes. The sword in his hand flashed, and Hua Jia's cry came to an abrupt end. Eighth Prince, I welcome you back to the palace. Your humble servant respectfully welcomes the Eighth Prince back to the palace. All of the officials knelt down. Hua Qi's eyes were like lightning as he looked around. Everyone kept quiet out of fear, not even daring to breathe loudly. They were afraid that Hua Qi would kill them. The atmosphere at the scene seemed to freeze. All of you, gather the troops and take control of all of the Heavenly King's accomplices, troops, and families. Hua Qi said after a long while. Hua Qi did not kill these people. Although they were detestable, they were the only ones who could keep the Blazing Sun Empire running. If he killed them all, who would help him? Yes, yes, this lowly subject will immediately do so. Eighth Prince, leave this matter to this lowly official. The civil and military officials all rushed to agree and then left in a hurry. What a joke. This was a good opportunity to express his feelings to Hua Qi, who would miss it. Soon, some of the ministers with heavy military forces retreated. The rest of the people were powerless civil officials who looked at Hua Qi and Lu Ming helplessly. Marquis Champion, please. Hua Qi waved his hand and said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled and sat at a random table. As for Hua Qi, he sat on the seat where the Heavenly King had been. The other women knelt by the side, trembling. The civil officials also knelt on the ground and waited. Time passed, and the imperial capital was in chaos. Countless soldiers and horses galloped forward, surrounding and annihilating the underlings of Heavenly King Zhen. There were battles everywhere. Buzz! Buzz! Not long after, Lin Shui and the others arrived and appeared in the sky. Sect leader Lin, send some people to help us kill the Heaven Suppression King. Lu Ming told Lin Shui. All right. Lin Shui nodded, and then hundreds of martial grandmasters scattered around the imperial capital to help eliminate the Heaven Suppression King. With the addition of these experts, the remnants of the Heavenly King and those who were loyal to him were quickly killed. The entire imperial capital was filled with a massacre. Many ordinary people knew that the world had changed again. From now on, the imperial city was going to have a new ruler. When many people knew that it was the Eighth Prince who had returned, they were all very happy. The period of time when they were under the Heavenly King's rule had not been easy. A day later, the battle in the imperial capital had ended. The imperial capital had completely fallen into Hua Qi's hands. 2 days later, the blood-red iron cavalry arrived to help Hua Qi take complete control of the imperial capital. He would leave the rest to Hua Qi. Lu Ming could not be bothered. Sect leader Lin, it's time to go to the 10 Direction Sword Sect. Lu Ming said to Lin Shui in a courtyard. All right. Lin Shui's eyes were filled with madness and anticipation. He had been waiting for this day for too long. An hour later, nearly 100 people, led by Lu Ming, flew towards the omnipresent sword sect. The 10 Direction Sword Sect was not far from the imperial capital. It was about 10,000 miles away. They arrived in about an hour. More than 100 people were floating above the 10-square mountain. Activate the sect protecting formation, quickly activate the sect protecting formation. As soon as Lu Ming and the others arrived, a loud roar was heard from the 10 Direction Sword Sect. Buzz buzz buzz. Light filled the entire school. Inscriptions flickered, forming a sect-protecting formation that enveloped the school. Countless sword chi were moving around. This sect-protecting formation was similar to the mystical sword sect's sect-protecting formation, but it was more powerful and mysterious. It was obvious that the Shifang Sword School had already received the news. It seems that there are still many experts left in the 10-direction sword school. There's even a half-step king amongst them. Lin Shui and the others said. Everyone's gaze turned to Lu Ming. They could only rely on Lu Ming to break the sect-protecting formation of the omnidirectional sword sect. If they were to go, they wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. Who? Lu Ming's claw clenched in the air and a long spear was formed. Then, the long spear lashed out at the omnipresent sword sect. At the same time, the long spear rapidly grew to the size of a mountain and shot toward the 10-direction sword school. Block it! Block it! Roars of shock and anger came from the 10-direction sword sect. At the same time, the sect-protecting formation of the omnidirectional sword sect flickered madly. Several huge sword chi soared into the sky and blasted toward Lu Ming's spear radiance. However, as the spear radiance pressed down, the sword chi was crushed like tofu. Boom! The spear radiance heavily struck the sect-protecting formation of the 10-direction sword sect. Bang! Bang! Immediately, all the foundations of the sect-protecting formation in the Shifang sword sect exploded. Screams rang out as the people controlling the formation were killed by the backlash. With one move, the sect-protecting formation of the 10-direction sword sect was broken. Although they knew that Lu Ming's combat strength was shocking and that he was a peerless king, Lin Shui and the rest were still shocked to see this scene with their own eyes. Sect leader Lin, I will leave the rest to you. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming had lost all interest in the following battles. Alright, don't worry. Lin Shui nodded. They immediately charged in. This was a one-sided massacre. 90% of the 10-direction sword sect's experts had already died in the mystical sword sect. How could the remaining ones be a match for Lin Shui and the others? Blood chi filled the Shifang mountain. Chapter 489. 489 Back to the Lu family again. However, Lin Shui and the others did not kill the innocent. They only killed the higher-ups of the 10-direction sword school. Most of them were martial artists above the Great Martial Master realm. They didn't kill those below the Great Martial Master realm. That was because martial artists below the rank of a martial grandmaster were not a big threat. Very quickly, the 10-direction sword sect quieted down. Lu Ming looked at the omnipresent sword school calmly, his face expressionless. In the world of martial Dao, killing was a daily affair. Every day, sects were destroyed, and new sects rose. It was very normal. Lu Ming was silent for a moment. He then turned around and left in the air. Next, there was no need for him to make a move. Lin Shui and the rest were more than enough to take down Tian Sha sect. Most of the upper echelons of the Heavenly Fiends sect had died in the mystical sword sect, so they could not stop Lin Shui and the others. Stepping on the air, Lu Ming traveled 1,000 miles in an instant and headed towards the mystical sword sect. Soon, he returned to the mystical sword sect. Goldeneye, after this evolution, he's probably going to enter the king's realm. In the air in front of the mystical sword sect's mountain gate, Lu Ming looked at the blood cocoon suspended in the air and fell into deep thought. Then, Lu Ming moved and flew toward the depths of the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming arrived at Lu Yuntian's courtyard. Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were drinking tea and chatting. Now that Lu Ming had become a king and his name was known throughout the world, the two of them were very happy and always had smiles on their faces. Father, Mother. Lu Ming pushed the door open and entered, calling out softly. Ming, you're back. Quickly sit down. Li Ping said with a smile. Lu Ming sat down. Ming, why don't I see Miss Nianqing this time? Li Ping asked. In the past, everyone knew that Xie Nianqing was always by Lu Ming's side. Later on, Xian Yanqing followed Lu Ming to take part in the Ditian Divine Guard assessment. Many people thought that Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were a couple. Li Ping and Lu Yuntian were quite fond of Xian Yanqing, so they were naturally very concerned about him. Father, mother, Miss Xia has other matters to attend to, so she didn't return to the Blazing Sun Empire. Lu Ming said. At the mention of Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with mixed emotions. He was very worried. Unfortunately, there were no clues at all. Ming her, did you guys fight? Sometimes, a man should give in to a girl. You have to learn from your father. Li Ping said earnestly. Cough cough. By the side, Lu Yuntian coughed a few times. Father, mother, it's nothing. Miss Xia is just busy. Oh, that's right. With that, Lu Ming waved his hand and more than 10 jade bottles appeared on the table. Father, mother, these pills can nourish the body, replenish blood and qi, and prolong life. Although they can't repair father's meridians, they can still have a nourishing effect. Lu Ming said. Naturally, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping kept the pills happily. They knew that Lu Ming had reached the martial king realm, so these pills were not of much use to him. From then on, Lu Ming would take time out to visit Lu Yuntian and Li Ping every day. He would spend the rest of his time cultivating. After entering the martial king realm, his understanding of martial arts had greatly improved. His comprehension of martial arts techniques was also greatly accelerated. Lu Ming had already cultivated the 9 dragons heaven-treading steps to the limit of the 2nd step. 7 days later, he successfully cultivated the 3rd step. With 3 steps, the power of the 9 dragons heaven-treading steps increased by more than 10 times, reaching the 6th level of the heaven-grade low-level martial technique. In terms of power, it was no weaker than the 3rd level of the 3 wonders of Dragon Mountain. Lu Ming had another killer move. During these 7 days, the Burning Sun Empire was in a state of shock. The 10 Direction Sword sect and the Heavenly Fiends sect were destroyed, and the 8th prince killed the Heavenly Suppression King and took back the imperial capital. Every single one of them was enough to shake the entire Blazing Sun Empire. The most shocking news was the return of the Marquis Champion, Lu Ming, who had reached the Martial King realm. Everyone was dumbfounded. After that, wherever the Mystic Essence Sword sect, Crimson Cloud Valley, and the Imperial family's armies passed, the factions that belonged to the 10 Directions Sword sect and Heavenly Fiends sect surrendered. There was almost no intense battle. Half a month later, the entire Burning Sun Empire was under the control of the Mystical Sword sect, the Crimson Cloud Valley, and the royal family. The Blazing Sun Empire had been unified like never before. As the saying went, a country could not go a day without a ruler. At this moment, many people suggested that Hua Qi should inherit the throne and become the emperor of the Blazing Sun Empire. However, Hua Qi did not agree. He used the fact that the Blazing Sun Empire had just experienced a great war as an excuse to refuse. After 2 days, everyone tried to persuade Hua Qi again, but he still refused. At this moment, someone came to Lu Ming, hoping that he could persuade Hua Qi to ascend the throne. Lu Ming nodded and made a trip to the imperial capital. After that, the imperial family announced to the world that Hua Qi would officially ascend the throne in the imperial capital in a month's time. At the same time, the Mystical Sword sect and the Crimson Cloud Valley were named the 2 holy lands of martial arts in the Burning Sun Empire. In addition, Lu Ming was conferred the title of Champion King and the Defender General of the state. The Lu family was given the title of a first-class family, on par with noble families. The news spread and attracted worldwide attention. Countless forces, big and small, were preparing to rush to the imperial capital to celebrate the new emperor's ascension to the throne. This was because everyone knew very well that Lu Ming was behind Hua Qi. A king tier who wasn't even 20 years old was the main point. As long as Lu Ming was not dead, Hua Qi's authority would be impregnable. The entire Blazing Sun Empire was anticipating the arrival of the next month. Even the other 35 empires were paying attention to this matter. However, Lu Ming did not care about any of that. He brought Lu Yuntian and Li Ping back to Fiery Wind City and the Lu family. Red lights were hung all over the Lu family's residence, and it was a jubilant scene. Countless people were going in and out, and it was extremely lively. The Lu family was now a first-class family, such as a noble family. In the past few days, anyone with some power in the hundreds of cities had come to congratulate them. The young master is back, and so are the master and madam. His loud roar caused the entire Lu family to boil. Master, madam, the young master is back. The news instantly spread throughout the Lu family. When Lu Ming and the rest arrived at the Lu family's main gate, they were dumbfounded to discover that countless people had swarmed out. At the very front were the few remaining core elders of the Lu family and the branch masters of a few branches. Behind them, there were at least a few hundred people whom Lu Ming did not know. Greetings, family head, madam, young master. I haven't seen you for many years. I can die without any regrets. A core elder bowed in greeting. He looked at Lu Yuntian and nearly shed tears. Everyone, please rise. Lu Yuntian's eyes were filled with complicated emotions. After so many years, he had finally returned to the Lu family. I am the city lord of Flowing Light City. Greetings to the champion king, the Lu family's head, and Madam Lu. A burly man with a stout face squeezed out of the crowd and knelt down before Lu Ming. I'm the head of the Lu family in Wudong City. Greetings, champion king. Patriarch Lu, do you still recognize me? I'm Lucio, the city lord of Fragrance City. Behind him, a group of people came over to greet him. All right, everyone, let us in first. Lu Ming waved his hand and shouted. His words seemed to contain endless majesty. Everyone quieted down and made way for Lu Ming and the rest to enter. Chapter 490. 490 Chapter 490 Returning to Earth Cave. After Lu Ming and the others entered, the core elders and branch masters of the Lu family followed closely behind. All the branch masters were secretly glad that Lu Yunxiong had not killed Lu Ming back then. Otherwise, the Lu clan would not be where it was today. The stronger the Lu clan was, the more they would benefit. Now, as branch masters, their authority was even greater than that of the castellans of major cities. The castellans of major cities had to listen to them, which made them extremely happy. Naturally, they were even more respectful to Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and the others. The group of them arrived at the Lu family's courtyard. Dozens of tables were already filled with banquets, and the group invited Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping to the topmost table. Everyone, thank you for coming. I haven't been back for many years. Now, I'd like to propose a toast to everyone. Lu Yuntian raised his wine cup and said loudly. Back then, Lu Yuntian was rather famous in many large cities. There were many old friends of his present. Brother Yuntian, it's been so many years. I didn't expect that we would meet again. Suddenly, a voice was heard. Looking in the direction of the voice, Lu Yuntian's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, Brother Zhou, haha, how have you been? Lu Ming also looked over, a smile on his face. The person who had just spoken was Zhou Linshan. Lu Ming could still clearly remember that he had met Zhou Linshan on his first mission after joining the mystical sword sect. It was also from Zhou Linshan that he learned that Lu Yuntian was still alive. Uncle Zhou, please take a seat. Lu Ming also stood up and cupped his fists. Champion King, you don't have to be so polite. I wouldn't dare to accept such a title. Zhou Linshan waved his hand. In his heart, however, he was extremely complicated and sighed. When he had first met Lu Ming was only a young fellow at the Master Realm. In just a few years, Lu Ming had actually become a king tier whose name shook the world. That was a king tier. Just thinking about this word made his heart tremble. Brother Zhou, you're welcome. Come on. Lu Yuntian waved his hand. Back then, the fact that Lu Yuntian had entrusted the Heavenly Star Sword and 2 other important items to Zhou Linshan was proof of their relationship. At this moment, Lu Yuntian was extremely happy to see an old friend. At this moment, Zhou Linshan no longer declined and walked toward Lu Ming and the rest's seats. Ha, Brother Zhou, it's been years since we last met. You and I have both grown old. Come, let's drink 3 big bowls first. Lu Yuntian laughed heartily. He no longer used a cup but a large bowl, filling 2 bowls with wine. Ha, good. Infected by Lu Yuntian's heroic spirit, Zhou Linshan let loose as well. He laughed heartily and drank 3 bowls of wine with Lu Yuntian. The city lords and family heads looked at Zhou Linshan with envy. Zhou Linshan had such a good relationship with the Lu family. What an honor it was to be able to sit at the same table as Lu Ming and Lu Yuntian. Many people even thought that they should build a good relationship with Zhou Linshan in the future. Following that, Lu Ming also toasted Zhou Linshan. After 3 rounds of drinking, Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping left. The others continued to drink. In the next few days, there were people who came to the Lu family to congratulate him. Lu Ming did not meet any of them and focused on cultivation. As for Lu Yuntian, he would meet some of his acquaintances. As time passed slowly, Lu Ming's understanding of the intent realm became deeper and deeper. However, the wind and fire intents were still far from being able to condense intent runes. On the other hand, his thunder mentality was improving rapidly every day because of the thunder cauldron. On the other hand, the Dragon God's 3 absolutes had also completely stabilized at the 3rd level. However, if he wanted to cultivate to the 4th level, he had to condense intent runes from all 3 types of intents. Very quickly, more than 10 days had passed. At this moment, the people of the Lu clan were already preparing to set off for the imperial city. The Lu family was an important guest this time. On the other hand, Lu Ming had brought Li Ping and Lu Yuntian to the imperial capital earlier than them. On his 2nd day in the imperial capital, Lu Ming went to the General Star Hall and walked towards the Earth Cave. During this period of time, the General Star Hall had already started operating again. The students who had not died in the past had all returned to the General Star Hall. The only thing that Lu Ming was curious about in the Blazing Sun Empire was the Earth Aeon Cave. There were 13 levels in the Earth Cave, and it was said that it was opened by the king of the imperial family. It was said that only the king could enter the 12th and 13th levels. Moreover, there was another saying that the 13th level of the royal family wasn't the limit. Because with that king's strength, he could only open the 13th level. After that, even the king couldn't do it. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the entrance of the Earth Cave. Lu. No, the champion. The few burly men at the gate were shocked to see Lu Ming. They stammered for a long time but could not complete a sentence. Lu Ming smiled and walked in. At this time, the few burly men guarding the door finally reacted. Who is that, Nest? He actually walked in just like that. He seems pretty arrogant. Around them, there were other young men. A young man with an arrogant face said with some dissatisfaction. You must be fucking blind. That's Lu Ming, the champion king. You don't know him. You're a new student who just joined not long ago. On the side, someone looked at him in disdain. What? That was Lu Ming. No, that was the champion. My idol, why didn't you say so earlier? Oh my god, I missed my idol just like that. No, I'm going to wait for him here. The arrogance on the young man's face disappeared and was replaced by admiration. The news of Lu Ming's arrival in the Earth Cave spread throughout the General Star Hall in an instant. Countless people surrounded the Earth Cave. Some young men who were in closed-door cultivation hurriedly ended their cultivation and rushed to the Earth Cave after receiving the news. Most of them were girls. Lu Ming, who had reached the martial king realm before the age of 20, was unprecedented in the history of the 36 countries of Emperor Yun, let alone the Blazing Sun Empire. Young girls all admired heroes and were fond of geniuses. Lu Ming was such a peerless genius. Naturally, countless young girls would admire and like him. Countless people were waiting outside the earth cave. Naturally, Lu Ming did not know that he had caused such a huge sensation. He went all the way down without stopping. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the 9th level. At this point, the fire spiritual qi was extremely rich and violent. Ordinary people couldn't cultivate here at all, as their meridians would be burned by the violent fire spiritual qi. However, to Lu Ming, this bit of fiery spiritual energy was like a Buddha's face in the spring breeze. He did not feel anything. He continued down. When he arrived at the 10th floor, he felt that the fire spiritual qi there was several times denser and more violent than the 9th floor. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to go down. Level 11, Level 12. When Lu Ming reached the 12th floor, his expression changed slightly. The fire spiritual qi here had already reached an exaggerated level. The endless fire spiritual qi was extremely violent and ravaged wantonly. The surrounding walls had completely turned into crystals and were extremely hard. Lu Ming felt that even a half-step king would be killed by the fire spiritual qi if he cultivated here. Only a king could come here. Chapter 491. 491 Gifting a Secret Manual. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. This place was really strange. The deeper he went, the richer and more violent the fire spiritual energy would be. What was down there? How could such a strange area be formed? Lu Ming was very curious. He continued down and came to the 13th level. Boom! The surging fire spiritual energy hit him in the face. Lu Ming felt as if he had walked into a volcano, and the scorching aura filled his body. This fire spiritual qi is too abnormal. Lu Ming activated the concept of fire to block the fire spiritual qi outside. He then looked around. The 13th floor was very small, only the size of an ordinary secret room. The surrounding walls had already turned into fiery red-colored glass. The stone room was empty. Lu Ming could feel that the violent fire spiritual energy was coming from under his feet. It seems that the martial king of the royal family could only dig up to here. He didn't have the strength to go any further. It's true. The fire spiritual qi here is unbearable for ordinary king-level cultivators. Lu Ming pondered. However, although he was only at the early stage of the Level 1 martial king realm, he was no ordinary king. He was so powerful that he could kill a Level 3 martial king. With 3 intent realms protecting him and his true essence exploding, the fire spiritual qi here couldn't do anything to him. Then I'll continue digging and see what's down there. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and a 5th level spiritual weapon, a broadsword, appeared in his hand. Buzz! Lu Ming slashed the broadsword at the ground. There were 3 types of intent realms on the saber. Clang clang clang. When the broadsword hit the ground, it was as if it had hit an iron block. Sparks flew everywhere, but the ground was still cut into pieces of glazed stones. Lu Ming took out a storage ring and kept the stone away. Then, he continued to chop. Very soon, Lu Ming had created a big hole that continued downward. After about 10 meters, Lu Ming began to expand in all directions. 2 hours later, a stone chamber appeared. The 14th floor. Here, the fire spiritual qi had reached a terrifying level, but he still couldn't see what was emitting it. Lu Ming frowned. This was because he had already reached his limit. If he continued to go down, he was afraid that he would not be able to withstand it with his strength. This was too terrifying. This is amazing. No matter what's down there, I'm afraid it's very amazing. Forget it, I'm not strong enough now. When I have the strength in the future, I'll definitely dig all the way down and see what's down there. Lu Ming decided in his heart. There's still a dozen days before Hua Qi's ascension. I can cultivate here. The fire's spiritual qi here was extremely rich, and it contained a powerful fire concept. It was a good place to cultivate and comprehend the fire concept, which was definitely many times stronger than the outside world. Lu Ming immediately sat down cross-legged, and the 9-dragon bloodline emerged. He opened his mouth, and billowing fire spiritual qi gathered in the dragon's mouth. The violent fire spiritual qi was refined by the 9 dragons' bloodline and directly transformed into vital essence. At the same time, Lu Ming extended his consciousness and began to comprehend the concept of fire. As expected, it was much faster to comprehend the fire concept here than outside. Lu Ming's understanding of the concept of fire slowly deepened. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. There were only 2 days left before Hua Qi's ascension. Lu Ming finally ended his cultivation and walked out of the Earth Aeon cave. Look, Lu Ming is out. As soon as Lu Ming walked out of the Earth cave, he heard a shrill scream. Then, he saw a large group of girls looking at him with shining eyes. Is that the champion Wang Lu Ming? He's so handsome. It's over, it's over. I'm already tempted. What should I do? I want to marry him. There were at least a few hundred girls staring at him with bright eyes. No way. I've been cultivating for more than 10 days, why is there still someone waiting here? Lu Ming was speechless. He moved and left the place, leaving behind a group of sighing girls. The imperial capital was getting more and more lively. Chapter 492. 492 Chapter 492 The kings come to congratulate. With the secret manual and pills that Lu Ming gave them, their cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. After that, the two of them drank and chatted. They only dispersed after drinking for a few hours. 2 days later, in front of the palace, there was a very wide square filled with tables. There were countless armored soldiers guarding the square, making it so that not even a drop of water could pass through. There was an altar in the square. Hua Qi was wearing a dragon robe. Surrounded by the civil and military officials and the city lords, he was going to worship the heavens and the ancestors, and officially become the emperor of the Burning Sun Empire. After the meeting ended, it was time for a banquet to be held, inviting the entire world. The champion king, the defender general of the state has arrived. Lu family head, Madame Lu has arrived. A loud shout reverberated throughout the entire area. Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping walked in from outside. Your humble servant greets your majesty. This commoner pays his respects to your majesty. Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Hua Qi cupped their fists and saluted. Champion king, Uncle Lu, Aunt Lu, please dispense with the formalities. Come, men, please take a seat. Hua Qi hurriedly welcomed them and helped Lu Ming and the other two up. Then, he sat down next to the 3 of them. It was the closest seat to him. The sect leader of the mystical sword sect has arrived. The valley master of the Scarlet Cloud Valley has arrived. Soon after, Lin Shui and Ling Patian led a few gold-robed elders and a few young elites into the arena. Everyone first paid their respects to Hua Qi, then presented their congratulatory gifts. Following that, some of the smaller forces of the Blazing Sun Empire also sent people to greet the new emperor and present their gifts. The Blood Zhao Empire's Great Sun Prefecture Master has arrived. All of a sudden, a loud shout silenced the entire place. The Master of Great Sun Prefecture, Lin Shui, Ling Patian, and the others were shocked. On the other hand, Lu Ming's expression was cold. It was said that the Great Sun Mansion Master was one of the 2 kings in the Blood Zhao Empire and had lived for hundreds of years. Outside the square, an old man in a sun robe walked in with dozens of other old men and burly men. Jin Yang, the master of Great Sun Prefecture, pays his respects to the new Blazing Sun Emperor. The Great Sun Prefecture master led the group and bowed to Hua Qi, then turned to Lu Ming. Great Sun Mansion, hee, I haven't even gone to find you, and you've already come to me. Lu Ming stood up slowly, the aura on his body rising rapidly. Champion King, it's all a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. The Great Sun Prefecture master's face changed and he shouted. Oh. A misunderstanding? Your Great Sun Mansion's 100,000-strong Sun Army is attacking the Blazing Sun Empire. Is this also a misunderstanding? Lu Ming sneered. Champion King, it's a misunderstanding. I was in seclusion at that time and had no idea what had happened. It was all because my subordinates were bewitched. As soon as I came out of seclusion and learned of this, I killed the Sun Legion's commander-in-chief. Today, I'm here to apologize to the Champion King and all of you. The Great Sun Mansion Master quickly explained. He was really honest and didn't have the dignity that a king should have. Everyone knew in their hearts that this was all because of Lu Ming. If not for Lu Ming, the Great Sun Prefecture Master would not have come to congratulate Hua Qi. Even if he had come, he would have come here to avenge the 100,000 Sun Legion. However, because of Lu Ming, the other party did not dare to say anything about the death of the 100,000 Sun Legion. Instead, he came to apologize pitifully. After saying that, the Great Sun Prefecture Master waved his hand and many boxes appeared on the ground. In the boxes were all kinds of spirit weapons, pills, and blacksmithing materials. And they were all of high grade, many of them were level 4. Champion King, this is a small gift from me. Please accept it. The Great Sun Prefecture Master laughed. He was indeed very afraid. Previously, Lu Ming had killed many kings in one battle, which made his heart shiver. He was afraid that if Lu Ming were to go to Great Sun Mansion in anger, he would be finished. He was only a first-tier martial king and probably could not withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. The Manor Master of Great Sun Manor smiled apologetically and looked at Lu Ming with eager eyes. This made the other people on the field feel a myriad of emotions. In the past, the Great Sun Prefecture Master was a legendary figure who was high up in the air and looked down on everyone. They wanted to see him, but they couldn't even see him. Now, such a person was like a junior in front of Lu Ming. He was smiling cautiously. This made them feel strange. Some of the young people were so excited that they were trembling. They clenched their fists and shouted in their hearts, "This is what a true martial artist should be like. In the future, I'll be like this too, so that I won't live in vain." Lu Ming did not answer immediately. He closed his eyes and seemed to be in deep thought. The Great Sun Prefecture Master just looked on, not daring to make a sound. After a moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes and said, "Today is a day of great joy for the Burning Sun Empire. I won't hold it against you. But remember, if you dare to offend the Burning Sun Empire again, I will personally raze the Great Sun Mansion to the ground." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent when he said the last sentence. The Master of Great Sun Mansion and the other higher-ups of Great Sun Mansion broke out in cold sweat and their hearts turned cold. "Thank you, Champion King." The people from Great Sun Mansion cupped their fists and thanked him. "You're a guest, sit down." Lu Ming waved his hand. The people from Great Sun Mansion felt like they had been granted amnesty and let out a long sigh of relief. They sat down. The Night Moon King of the Nine Knights Empire has arrived. At this time, a loud shout was heard. The entire place fell silent again. The Night Moon King of the Nine Knights Empire was also a martial king realm expert whose name shook the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. He was the #1 expert in the Nine Knights Empire. He didn't expect that even such a person would come. Hua Qi, Lin Shui, and the others were ecstatic as they quickly stood up to welcome him. A tall and thin middle-aged man walked in with a group of people. Ha! Yi Yu congratulates the new Blazing Sun Emperor on his ascension to the throne. Greetings, Champion King. The Night Moon King bowed slightly to Hua Qi, then solemnly to Lu Ming. Everyone knew that the Night Moon King had come for Lu Ming. Please sit, Night Moon King. Lu Ming waved his hands and said. The sect master of the No Return sect has arrived. The Grand Supreme Leader of the Carefree sect has arrived. King Jin Kai has arrived. Following that, loud shouts could be heard. Everyone present was shocked beyond words. This was because the people who had come were all the overlords of the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. They were all martial king realm experts. Every single one of them was an unrivaled figure in the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. They were all legendary mighty people. Usually, they were elusive, but now, they had actually come here together. Finally, in the Cloud Emperor mountain range, the kings of the 8 medium empires had almost all arrived. There were a total of 15 of them. One had to know that there were less than 20 kings in all the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. It could be said that most of the king tiers had arrived. Everyone from the Burning Sun Empire was excited. This was an honor, and this honor was brought by Lu Ming. Everyone knew that these experts were here for Lu Ming. A king tier who wasn't even 20 years old was too shocking. His future was limitless, so they naturally had to curry favor with him as soon as possible and befriend him. When Lu Ming became stronger in the future, they would not be qualified to befriend him even if they wanted to. Chapter 493. 493 Kill, the King of Assassins. Champion King, I think the scar on your father's face should have been left over the past 10 years. I have some crystal morning cream here. Although it can't cure your father's meridian injury, it should be enough to treat this scar. The one who spoke was a white-haired old man. He was the Grand Emperor of the Cloud Desolate Empire and was at the middle stage of the Martial King realm. He was known as one of the 3 strongest people in the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. He took out a jade bottle and passed it to Lu Ming. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was ecstatic and took it without any hesitation. Although he could not heal Lu Yuntian's meridians, Lu Ming was overjoyed that he could heal the scar on his face. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Yuntian and Li Ping also bowed to the Cloud Desolate Empire's Grand Imperial Sire. Ha, no need to be so polite. This is just a small token of my appreciation. The Cloud Desolate Empire's Grand Emperor laughed. Then, everyone took their seats. At this moment, almost everyone who should be here had arrived. Suddenly, Lu Ming raised his head and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. He said in a cold voice, Your Excellency, you've been watching there for so long, shouldn't you show yourself? What? Lu Ming's words shocked the others, and they all looked up at the sky. However, the sky was very clear. There wasn't a single cloud in sight, so where was the person? Without clouds, how could one hide? Could Lu Ming have sensed wrongly? At this moment Hee hee, as expected of the Champion King. To become a king at such a young age, you're indeed extraordinary. You can actually sense me. A sneer came from the sky. At the same time, a figure suddenly appeared. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. It was an old man in a black robe with white hair and a cold face. It's you, the Netherworld old ghost of the Hades Palace. The moment the Cloud Desolate Empire's Grand Emperor saw this old man, he shouted. On the battlefield, the King Tyr also turned pale with fright. Could this elder be the strongest assassin of the Hades Palace, one of the 3 strongest experts in the 36 countries of the Cloud Wilderness, Netherworld, who was as famous as the Cloud Wilderness Empire's retired emperor? This was a name that would make people's faces change. The Hades Palace was the #1 assassin organization in the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. It had branches in every empire. The Blazing Sun Empire also had a branch of the Hades Palace, which was also known as one of the four major assassin organizations of the Blazing Sun Empire. It could be said that the Underworld Royal Palace was the enemy of all the people in the 36 kingdoms of Emperor Yun. Almost every powerful force had someone assassinated by the Underworld Royal Palace. At this moment, Netherworld's appearance made many people's faces change. You've been hiding in the sky and acting sneaky. Do you think I don't know? If you're here to congratulate me, I'll welcome you. If not, then get lost. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he stared at the Netherworld. Hee, Champion King, you're indeed young and impetuous. What a big tone. Yu Ming sneered and continued, Lu Ming, you're the one who shouldn't have appeared. Once you appear, the balance of the 36 kingdoms of Emperor Yun will be broken sooner or later. Therefore, it's best that you disappear from this world. You want to kill me? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Hee, it's said that some time ago, you killed an early level 3 Martial King Realm warrior. I can only say that rumors are really powerful, and those who spread these rumors are brainless people who don't understand the secrets of the Martial King Realm at all. In the Martial King Realm, it's impossible for a warrior who has just broken through to the Martial King Realm to cross 2 levels and kill a level 3 Martial King Realm warrior, so many people. How stupid. They actually believed such words. Netherworld sneered, and his eyes revealed killing intent. Lu Ming's rise made the Hades Palace feel threatened. Now, the Underworld Royal Mansion could get whatever they wanted in the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. Many forces were in awe of them. He was already used to such a life. However, Lu Ming, a young king, had appeared. His future achievements would definitely surpass his. When that time came, the Hades Palace would not have a good life. Therefore, he decided to kill Lu Ming completely before he grew up. Then you can try. Lu Ming said. I'll try, I'll try. As soon as he finished speaking, a sword light suddenly shot out from Netherworld's hand. The sword gleam was extremely sharp and unbelievably fast. It was soundless as it stabbed towards Lu Ming's throat. Fast, it was too fast. He had crossed thousands of meters in the void. He was fast, but Lu Ming was faster. Whoosh! The long spear had appeared in Lu Ming's hands at some point in time. He thrust the spear and it hit the sword light. Clang! With a crisp sound, the sword light was sent flying. Buzz! The sword light flew back to Netherworld's hand. You have some skills. Netherworld said faintly. Now, it's my turn. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming soared into the sky and flew high into the sky. Boom! Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense. He took a step forward. The 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps had unleashed all 3 intents at the same time. An incomparably terrifying energy burst forth, blasting towards Netherworld. Break! The sound of a sword rang out as a sword light shot out from Netherworld's hand. It was even more powerful than before. However, the sword gleam crumbled under Lu Ming's feet. Under the powerful force, Netherworld was forced to retreat 5 to 6 steps. Boom! Immediately after, Lu Ming took his second step. A power that was several times stronger than before suddenly erupted. So strong. Netherworld's expression changed for the first time, and it became extremely solemn. His body flashed with Esilevirer light as he burst out with the power of his bloodline. At the same time, he stabbed out with his sword. Ghosts wailed and Wallevers howled in the world. A black sword light stabbed forward. In the process of the sword light, countless ghostly shadows flashed. Boom! A deafening boom erupted between heaven and earth, and the entire imperial capital began to shake. In the next moment, Netherworld spat out a large mouthful of blood. His figure retreated rapidly, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He was too powerful. Lu Ming was too powerful. He was even more powerful than the rumors had said. He now believed that Lu Ming had really killed an early-stage third-level Martial King realm expert. But it was too late to believe it now. That was because Lu Ming had already taken his third step. 9 dragons heaven-treading steps, 3 steps in a row, the power continued to stack. The power of this step was like a vast ocean, boundless and endless, submerging the netherworld. No! No! Netherworld howled madly. He exerted all his strength in an attempt to break out of the range of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. However, it was all in vain. As the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps landed, Netherworld's body cracked at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Then, he exploded in the air. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragon bloodline to devour Netherworld's blood essence. At the same time, he took off his storage ring. Then, with a wave of his hand, a flame appeared and burned Netherworld's corpse to ashes. Below, countless people were dumbfounded. Especially the kings, they couldn't stop gasping. They felt cold all over, and their backs were wet with cold sweat. Lu Ming's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. The Netherworld, whose name had shaken the Emperor Yun's 36 nations for hundreds of years, had caused countless people to turn pale at the mention of it. How could it be killed by Lu Ming so easily? If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. Chapter 494. 494 Killing their way to the Netherworld Prefecture. In fact, most of the kings present had the same thought as Yu Ming. They did not believe that Lu Ming could kill a third-level Martial King not long after he had broken through to the Martial King realm. After all, a Level 3 Martial King was much stronger than a Level 1 Martial King. The main reason they came to befriend Lu Ming was because of his potential. They valued his future and not his current combat strength. Now, they finally understood that Lu Ming's combat strength had reached a terrifying level. To be able to kill Yu Ming in a few moves, he could be said to be the strongest person in the 36 countries of Emperor Yun. Especially the master of Great Sun Prefecture, his body was trembling slightly. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond his imagination. If he wanted to kill him, he did not need one move. Half a move would be enough. Amazing, truly amazing. Heroes really come from the youth. It seems that this old man has really become old. The Cloud Desolate Empire's Grand Emperor reacted and sighed. That's right. The Champion King is truly a rare heaven's favorite. In the future, he'll definitely become a famous expert on the continent and his name will shake the world. Immediately, the dozen or so martial kings all smiled and flattered Lu Ming. The other people at the scene were stunned. They found that the kings who were usually high and mighty were now like ordinary people. They would flatter and fawn over stronger people. Everyone, some problems have been solved. Please take a seat and continue drinking. Lu Ming waved his hand. After cultivating in the earth cave for more than 10 days, Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the middle of the first-tier Martial King realm. His combat strength had also improved. Lu Ming did not find it strange that he could use the third step of the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps to kill Netherworld. The banquet continued immediately. However, everyone's mood at this banquet was different. The people of the Burning Sun Empire were naturally excited. With an expert like Lu Ming in charge, the Blazing Sun Empire would definitely flourish. As for the people from the other empires, all sorts of thoughts flashed through their minds. The banquet went on for 5 hours before it was announced to be over. The crowd slowly dispersed. Lu Ming, Lu Yuntian, and Li Ping stayed in the imperial capital for 2 days before they returned to the Lu family. On this day, Lu Ming had a feeling and flew towards the Mystical Sword Sect. When Lu Ming arrived at the Mystical Sword Sect, the sky above the Mystical Sword Sect was filled with blood. It was the blood cocoon formed by the golden-eyed blood corpse. It seemed like the evolution had been completed. Buzz! The blood cocoon trembled, and the blood chi around it was so thick that it couldn't dissipate. After a long while, the blood chi gathered toward the blood cocoon and disappeared. Kacha! Then, the blood cocoon cracked open, and a strong figure walked out. It had golden eyes, a blood-red mist, and its skin had turned pale gold. Its hair and fangs had disappeared, and it looked like a normal person. A terrifying aura spread out from the golden-eyed blood corpse's body. A king. This was the aura of a king. The golden-eyed blood corpse had successfully evolved into a true king after absorbing the blood of 5 to 6 kings and the blood of hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Master. When the golden-eyed blood corpse saw Lu Ming, a trace of excitement flashed across its face. It bowed to Lu Ming. Golden Eye, you can speak. Lu Ming was stunned and asked. Yes, I can naturally speak after breaking through to the king tier. The golden-eyed blood zombie bowed. As expected. Legend has it that once a demonic beast reaches the demonic beast king level, it can also speak. It seems like the king level is really a huge gap. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He took out a set of clothes and threw it to the golden-eyed blood corpse. Put on your clothes. Yes, master. The golden-eyed blood corpse took the clothes and put them on. Golden Eye, come back to the Lu family with me. You'll be responsible for the safety of my parents in the future. Lu Ming instructed. Yes. The golden-eyed blood zombie bowed and accepted the order. Lu Ming was overjoyed that the golden-eyed blood corpse had become a king. Originally, he was worried about Lu Yuntian and Li Ping's safety, but now that the golden-eyed blood corpse had broken through to the king tier, he was much more at ease with it protecting Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. In a flash, they headed for the Lu family. Not long after, they returned to the Lu family. When Lu Yuntian found out that the golden-eyed blood corpse had evolved into a king, he was first shocked, then pleasantly surprised. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. After 7 days, the scars on Lu Yuntian's face had completely disappeared. Not a single scar was left behind. He had regained his usual handsomeness and looked 60 to 70% similar to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Li Ping, and the rest were overjoyed. At this moment, Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. It was time to return to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. After Li Ping's reminder, Lu Ming rose into the air and left in an instant. However, he didn't go to the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace immediately. Instead, he came to the imperial capital of the Cloud Desolate Empire. That was because there was still one thing that had not been resolved. Although Netherworld had been killed by Lu Ming in the Underworld Royal Palace, there were still some other powerhouses below. If Lu Ming left, these powerhouses might harm Lu Ming's family. He had to get rid of this scourge first. In the 36 countries of Emperor Yun, the person who knew the Underworld Royal Mansion the best was undoubtedly the Emperor of the Cloud Desolate Empire. Lu Ming's arrival shocked the Cloud Wilderness Empire. Naturally, it was easy to meet the Cloud Wilderness Empire's Grand Emperor. The retired Emperor of the Cloud Desolate Empire was called Huang Su. When he heard that Lu Ming was going to deal with the Hades Palace, he was naturally overjoyed. Champion King, my Cloud Desolate Empire has been investigating the Hades Palace for close to 100 years. Even though the Hades Palace headquarters is extremely secretive and we think that no one knows about it, in fact, I have long known about it. In the past, I was afraid of Netherworld's strength, so I didn't attack the Underworld King's headquarters. Now that Netherworld is dead, I can get rid of this scourge, this cancer," said Huang Su, overjoyed. "Senior Huang, we don't need too many people. Just the 2 of us will be enough," Lu Ming said. "All right, I'll take you there immediately," said Desolate. After that, Lu Ming and the ruins flew out of the Cloud Desolate Empire's imperial capital and headed north. The northern side of the Cloud Emperor mountain range was extremely desolate. There were mountains everywhere, and powerful demonic beasts roamed. There was no empire here, and not many people survived. Lu Ming and the ruins came to a wide lake. As far as I know, there's another universe under this lake. The headquarters of the Hades Palace is right under this lake," said Desolate. "It's indeed secretive." Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. "Let's go." Then, Lu Ming and the ruins rushed into the lake. With true essence covering their bodies, the two of them silently headed to the bottom of the lake. The lake was very deep. The deepest part was actually 1,000 meters deep. There wasn't much mud at the bottom of the lake. Most of it was made of smooth rocks. In the middle of the rocks, there was a 2-meter-wide crack. There were inscriptions in the crack that blocked the lake water, so the lake couldn't flow in. It was obvious that the Hades headquarters was right below. The two of them concealed their auras and silently passed through the inscriptions. After seeing through the inscription, his eyes suddenly opened up. Below them, there were actually some naturally formed underground caves that extended in all directions, extremely wide. In front of him, he could hear faint voices. The two of them moved forward. In a small cave, a few assassins in black robes from the Hades Palace were talking. Lu Ming and the ruins flashed past and the few assassins fell down silently. Chapter 495. 495 people from the Shin clan. Then, the two of them continued to go deeper in, killing more and more assassins from the underworld. Lu Ming did not show any mercy. Every assassin from the underworld royal palace had blood on their hands. They were all paid to kill. Countless innocent people had died at their hands. It could be said that every one of them deserved to be killed. In a short while, hundreds of people had died at the hands of the two. Enemy attack, enemy attack. Finally, someone discovered Lu Ming and the ruins. Their frightened shouts spread in the underground cave. Boom! Boom! Since they had been discovered, there was no need for the two of them to hide their auras. The two of them burst out with their full strength and charged in with a crushing momentum. No one could stop the two. It had to be said that the underworld royal palace was indeed very powerful. There were 6 Martial King realm powerhouses in this underground cave. However, the strongest among them was only at peak level 2 Martial King realm. It was impossible for them to resist Lu Ming and Huang Su, and they were easily killed. A deafening boom exploded in the underground cave, and it began to shake. Boom! 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 In the end, the entire underground cave collapsed. Buzz! Buzz! 2 figures rushed out from the bottom of the lake and stood in the void. Naturally, it was Lu Ming and the ruins. Below, the water in the lake churned. Due to the collapse of the underground cave, a huge whirlpool was formed. The lake water poured down and completely submerged the underground cave. Not a single person escaped from the Hades Palace. Ha, this is great! Champion King, thanks to you, we were able to get rid of the cancer in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. Huang Su laughed out loud, extremely carefree. Senior Huang, you're too polite. I'm just doing it for the sake of convenience. Oh, right. I'll have to trouble you with the remaining branches of the underworld royal palace. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Ha ha ha, no problem. As soon as I get back, I'll immediately call on all the countries to surround and annihilate the people from the underworld king's mansion. Said Huang Su with a smile. That's good, then this junior will take his leave. With that, Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. He's a genius. I wonder what heights he'll reach in the future. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking in the direction where Lu Ming left, the ruins muttered to himself. Lu Ming made his way to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. The distance between the Cloud Emperor mountain range and the Myriad Star City was closer. Lu Ming only spent 3 days to return to the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Then, he reported the mission and returned to the Eastern Sky Courtyard. In a large hall of the Thunder Palace, the Thunder Palace Master's face was extremely gloomy as he sat on the chair at the top. What's going on? It's been so long, why aren't Chao and Zhangkong back yet? Also, those 5 guys didn't send me any messages. Thunder Palace Master muttered, feeling a little anxious. It had been so long, but Qiu Changkong and Xue Chao had yet to return. This gave him a bad feeling. Could it be that Lu Ming really did not die? That's impossible. According to what Su Zhong and the rest said, Lu Ming should be dead for sure. Moreover, even if he's not dead, he'll still die when he reaches the Blazing Sun Empire. But why haven't Changkong and the rest returned yet? What happened? Damn it, I'm being watched closely by Eccentric Wind and the rest. I can't even send people to find out more. Thunder Palace Master roared in his heart. Back then, when Su Zhong, Huang Jing, and the rest returned to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, they reported that they had encountered the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect and that the bald burly man had attacked Lu Ming. This caused a huge commotion. The Wind Palace Master, Fire Palace Master, and the others were especially furious. They had suspected the Thunder Palace Master at the first moment. However, Thunder Palace Master naturally denied it. The other Palace Masters didn't have any evidence and couldn't do anything to Thunder Palace Master. However, they had sent people to keep a close eye on Thunder Palace Master and see what he would do. Therefore, during this period of time, the Master of Thunder Palace was completely unaware of what had happened in the Blazing Sun Empire. He also did not know that the people he had sent had all been killed by Lu Ming. Hall Master, Hall Master. At this moment, a young man ran in hurriedly. What is it? Speak. Thunder Palace Master said with a frown. Hall Master, Lu Ming has returned. The young man shouted. What? Lu Ming did not die. How was that possible? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Thunder Palace Master suddenly stood up from his chair and almost shouted. It's true. I saw him hand in the mission with my own eyes. He has already returned to the Eastern Sky Courtyard. The young man reported. Damn it, why isn't that little bastard dead yet? How is that possible? Thunder Palace Master roared. According to his arrangement, Lu Ming should be dead. Even if he managed to escape from the disciples of the Heavenly Corpse sect, he would still die when he returned to the Blazing Sun Empire. But now, Lu Ming had returned alive. Could it be that someone is secretly helping him? It's very possible that the Palace Masters and the Palace Masters have sent people to help him in secret. It must be so. The light in Thunder Palace Master's eyes flickered continuously. Lu Ming, this little bastard, I can't let him live. I must find a way to get rid of him. A cold killing intent flashed across Thunder Palace Master's eyes. At this moment, his expression changed and a voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. He scanned it with his mind and was slightly stunned at first, then he was overjoyed. The Xing family actually sent someone here at this time. Good. Doesn't Lu Ming have a grudge against Xing Wushuang? We can use this opportunity to sow discord between the Xing family and kill Lu Ming with the Xing family's hands. Thunder Palace Master was overjoyed. Go and welcome the Xing family. Then, Thunder Palace Master strode out. In the west of the Myriad Star City, 5 figures were heading toward the city. Of the 5, one was a white-haired old man, while the other 4 were all young. They were all in their 20s, 3 men and 1 woman. The 4 of them had one thing in common, which was that they had cold and arrogant faces, with an expression of superiority. At this moment, 2 figures flew out of the Myriad Star City and greeted the 5 of them. One of them was Xing Wushuang, and the other was the Thunder Palace Master. Ha, so it's Brother Xing Yao. What brings you to the eastern part of the Tianxian region? Thunder Palace Master cupped his fists and laughed. Brother Zheng, how have you been? I did come here for a small matter. The gray-haired old man laughed. Sheng Wushuang pays his respects to the Sacred Glory Elder. Sheng Wushuang walked forward and bowed respectfully. N. Sheng Yao looked at Sheng Wushuang and his face turned cold. He nodded slightly as a response. Hee, Sheng Wushuang, I heard that you've been abused very badly. Moreover, you were abused by a Detian divine guard from the same batch as you. Sheng Wushuang, you've really brought shame to our Sheng family. A young man from the Sheng family sneered. That's right. Sheng Wushuang, you're really a piece of trash. You're actually being abused in the eastern part of the Tianxian region. If you were to return to the central part of the Tianxian region, you'd be worse than trash. The other young man sneered. Sheng Wushuang's face turned red and he clenched his fists tightly. Chapter 496. 496 coming for Lu Ming. He was angry, but he didn't dare to say anything. He was only a branch disciple of the Sheng family. However, these young men in front of him were direct descendants of the Sheng family. Whether it was status or cultivation, they were many times higher than him. He simply couldn't compare to these people. The Sheng clan was the most ancient clan in the entire Tianxian region. It was also one of the two strongest clans in the Tianxian region. One was from the Sheng family, and the other was from the Mu family. The Sheng clan was located in the middle of the Tianxian region. The center of the Tianxian region was the most fertile, vast, and rich place in the entire Tianxian region. The area of the central part of the Tianxian region was 10 times the size of the eastern part of the Tianxian region. There were many talented people and monstrous talents. That place was the core of the entire Tianxian region. The young men in front of him were from the direct line of descent of the Sheng family. They were not people Sheng Wushuang could offend. Sheng Wushuang, don't worry. Although you're a piece of trash, you're still a member of the Sheng family. Even if you're a dog of the Sheng family, we'll make you pay 10 times the price if you get bullied. Don't worry, we'll avenge you. A young man said with a smile. Sheng Wushuang's face turned even uglier. What did he mean? Was he being compared to a dog? Lu Ming, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. Otherwise, I wouldn't have suffered such great humiliation. I won't let you off. Sheng Wushuang roared in his heart. He did not dare to offend the direct descendant of the Sheng family. He could only blame everything on Lu Ming. Ha, Brother Sheng, and the other heroes, let's go in first and catch up. Thunder Palace Master laughed. All right. Sheng Yao nodded. Immediately, the group of people came to the Thunder Palace. Someone had already prepared the spiritual tea and spiritual fruits. Everyone took their seats. Brother Sheng, may I know why you have come this time? This Sheng might be able to help. Thunder Palace Master was the first to speak. I'm not happy with Brother Zheng. This time, I'm mainly here to do something that the young master of Xingqian has entrusted me with. Sheng Yao said. What? The young master of Xingqian. Hearing that, both Thunder Palace Master and Sheng Wushuang's expressions changed. Sheng Xingqian was the #1 genius among the younger generation of the Sheng family. He was a peerless monster. At the age of 21, he had reached the martial king realm and shocked the entire Tianxian region. I wonder what is on the eastern part of the Tianxian region that the young master of Xingqian is concerned about? Thunder Palace Master asked. It's not a big deal. Young Master Xingqian is mainly looking for someone, and then he asked us to bring this person to the central region. Sheng Yao said. Looking for someone? Young Master of Xingqian, who are you looking for? The Thunder Palace Master asked. We don't know either. Therefore, we will need the help of Thunder Palace Master. Sheng Yao said. I'll definitely do my best. Do you have any clues? Thunder Palace Master immediately looked like he was going all out. Brother Zheng, you should know about Palace Master Mu's daughter, Miss Mulan, right? Sheng Yao said. Thunder Palace Master's expression changed again, and he said, of course I know about Palace Master Mu's daughter, Miss Mulan. I also heard that Miss Mulan had an engagement with the young Master of Constellation since she was young. The Palace Master they were talking about was not the Palace Master of the Eastern Palace in the Tianxian region, but the Palace Master of the entire palace in the Tianxian region. That's right, but that girl Mulan has never wanted to marry young Master Xingqian. She even ran away from home and hid in a remote place like the Cloud Emperor mountain range. However, she actually went back some time ago. Young Master Xingqian has already sent people to investigate. That girl Mulan actually went back because she wanted to ask for an invitation to the Detian Divine Guard's selection on behalf of someone. This is the person that young Master Xingqian is looking for. The person that Mulan asked for an invitation for is from the Burning Sun Empire in the Cloud Emperor mountain range. I heard that he has already joined the Detian Divine Guards. Holy Light explained. Thunder Palace Master's face revealed a look of ecstasy. Brother Sheng, I know this person. His name is Lu Ming. There were 2 Detian Divine Guards from the Blazing Sun Empire. Qiu Changkong was definitely not one of them. Lu Ming was the only one left. Lu Ming. Hearing that, Sheng Wushuang's face changed. What's wrong? Is this Lu Ming very famous? A young man from the Sheng family asked. Everyone, this Lu Ming is the East Heaven Divine Guard from the east of the Tianxian region. He's also the one who injured Sheng Wushuang. The Thunder Palace Master explained. He was overjoyed. He had been thinking of how to use the Sheng family to get rid of Lu Ming. Now, he realized that he did not have to do anything and the Sheng family would not let Lu Ming off. Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to die this time. Thunder Palace Master thought coldly in his heart. So it's the same person. That's good too. It saves us trouble. I'll teach him a lesson and cripple Lu Ming's cultivation. Then, I'll bring him back to the central region and hand him over to the young master of Star Palace to deal with. One of the young men with sword-shaped eyebrows laughed. Everyone, don't underestimate Lu Ming. His combat strength is terrifying. Not long ago, he defeated a genius who had just broken through to the Martial King realm when he was only half a step away from the Martial King realm. Thunder Palace Master said. Of course, he didn't mention that the Martial King who was defeated was his disciple, because it was really embarrassing. What? A half-step king warrior actually defeated a Martial King? The faces of Sheng Yao and the 4 geniuses of the Sheng family changed drastically. How is that possible? How can a half-step king defeat a true king? The sword-browed young man couldn't believe it. It's true. Sheng Wushuang was there and he saw it. Thunder Palace Master said. That's right. It's true. Lu Ming's combat strength is terrifying. Sheng Wushuang said coldly. A half-step king can actually defeat a king. Although he has just broken through, it's still unbelievable. In that case, we can't let this kid live. Saint Kong, Saint Might, you two go together and cripple Lu Ming's cultivation first. Then, take him down and bring him back to the central region. Holy Light ordered. Don't worry, Elder. No matter how strong Lu Ming is, he's only a half-step king. I've already reached the early stage of the 2nd level Martial King realm, and my holy aura has reached the peak of the 2nd level Martial King realm. It'll be a piece of cake to take him down. The young man with sword-like eyebrows, Shen Kong, said confidently. Moreover, they were all geniuses, and their battle prowess was unparalleled among those of the same level. They could even fight those of a higher level. Lu Ming should be in the Eastern Sky Courtyard. I'll take you there. Shen Wushuang said immediately. At the thought of Lu Ming being beaten up like a dead dog, his heart trembled with excitement. Lu Ming, how dare you hurt me and take away 30,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals from me? I'll make you pay 10 times the amount. Shen Wushuang roared in his heart. He immediately brought the Saint Air and Saint Might to the Eastern Heaven Courtyard. As soon as Lu Ming returned to the Eastern Sky Courtyard, he sat cross-legged and thought about the direction of his cultivation. Now, my thunder mentality is progressing very fast. It's almost at the middle stage of level 1 lower tier. However, the progress of my wind and fire mentality is too slow. I must improve faster. Lu Ming was deep in thought. No matter how many resources I consume, increasing my strength is the only way. Then, Lu Ming took out 10,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals and exploded them all. He then began to devour and refine them. At this moment, Shen Wushuang, Shen Kong, and Shen Wei arrived outside the Eastern Heaven Courtyard. Brothers, this is the East Sky Courtyard where Lu Ming lives. He has just returned not long ago and should be inside. However, there is a large inscription formation guarding the courtyard. Shen Wushuang revealed a flattering smile and spoke to Shen Kong and Shen Wei. In the Sheng family, the status of direct descendants and branch descendants were too different. The Sheng family had been in the Tianxian region for too long. They had countless branches, and many of them were no different from servants. Although Shen Wushuang was extremely talented, he was still nothing in the eyes of the Sheng family's direct descendants. Yes. Shen Kong nodded slightly and said, so what if there's a rune formation? Just blast it out directly. After saying that, the holy sky struck out with a palm. The earth's spiritual chi in the world gathered madly and turned into a huge yellow hand. The hand was as big as a small mountain, and it directly smacked down on the Eastern Heaven Courtyard. Buzz! The Eastern Heaven Courtyard glowed and runes appeared, forming a light screen. Boom! The huge yellow hand hit the light curtain. Although it didn't break the light curtain, the Eastern Heaven Courtyard started to shake. At this moment, Lu Ming was refining the spiritual chi of the supreme grade spirit crystal with all his might. Suddenly, the entire courtyard shook violently as if it was about to explode. This was too sudden. Lu Ming was shocked. In his shock, the essential core in his body could not help but run wild. Lu Ming's face turned red and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, who is it? You actually dare to attack the Eastern Sky Courtyard? Lu Ming roared in his heart. He then circulated the true war dragon technique with all his might to stabilize the chaotic vital essence. Outside, the sacred sky palm shook the entire mountain. One figure after another flew into the sky. Who's there? You dare to attack the Eastern Sky Courtyard? This is against the rules. Look, that's Shen Wushuang. Who is he with? The others began to discuss. Who's there? You actually dare to attack the courtyard of another Detian Divine Guard. You've already broken the rules. Follow me to the enforcement hall to be punished. A deacon flew over and shouted angrily. You're the one who's bold. This is the Sheng family's matter. Get lost. Go. Shen Kong shouted and waved his hand. A purple gold jade token flew out and enlarged rapidly. There was a flash of light on it, and two big golden words were carved in the middle. Shengtian. The Sheng family's sacred sky token. The deacon's expression changed drastically. In the Sheng family, only the direct descendants of the Sheng family, and only the extremely outstanding ones, had the divine sky medallion. It represented one's status. The scene was in an uproar. A direct descendant of the Sheng family had actually appeared here. Could it be that he was here to stand up for Shen Wushuang? How could Xing Wushuang be so powerful that he could invite a direct descendant of the Xing family? Now, why aren't you getting lost? Xing Kong berated. The deacon squeezed out an ugly smile on his face. He glanced at the eastern sky courtyard, gritted his teeth, and left. Rules were useful to ordinary people. However, the Xing clan was one of the two strongest clans in the Tianxian region. They simply ignored these rules. Continue. Let's see if you'll come out. The holy sky struck out another palm. A huge palm print crashed down on the eastern heaven courtyard, causing it to shake violently. In the eastern sky courtyard, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. He then focused his mind and focused on stabilizing his true yuan. Boom! Boom! The palm prints of the holy sky kept striking down. The eastern heaven courtyard was like a small boat in a storm, shaking continuously. Lu Ming is done for. Xing Wushuang actually invited a direct descendant of the Xing family. These two's auras are unfathomable. They're definitely not ordinary king tiers. In my opinion, there must be something else. It's just Xing Wushuang. I'm afraid the direct descendants of the Xing family wouldn't come so far to find trouble with Lu Ming. The other Detian divine guards whispered among themselves ears. Chapter 498. For 98 I'll slap you 9 times. The holy sky struck out 9 palms in a row. When the 10th palm was about to be struck, a long roar came from the eastern sky courtyard. A word cracked on the light screen, and a figure rushed out. It's Lu Ming. He has rushed out. It's unwise. It's really unwise. The opponent can't break the inscription formation in the eastern sky courtyard. If I were Lu Ming, I would hide in the eastern sky courtyard so that the opponent can't do anything. I'm just courting death by rushing out now. Lu Ming is young and impetuous. He's talented too. Of course, he can't stand it when he's being bullied. It's a pity that the opponent this time is a direct descendant of the Xing family, a powerful king. Xue Chao can't compare to him. Lu Ming is in danger this time. Lu Ming stood in the void and saw Xing Wushuang, Xing Kong, and Xing Wei at a glance. Xing Wushuang, it's you again. I think you're looking for death. Lu Ming shouted angrily, his eyes emitting cold killing intent. Ha, Lu Ming, don't be so arrogant. This time, you're the one who's going to die. Xing Wushuang sneered without fear. The sacred sky stepped forward and looked at Lu Ming arrogantly. So you're Lu Ming. Very good. I thought you'd be like a turtle hiding in its shell and not coming out. Now that you're out, quickly destroy your cultivation and follow me to the central region of the Tianxian region. Sacred Sky placed his hands behind his back and ordered. Lu Ming looked at the holy sky as if he was looking at an idiot. Who was this guy? Did he have a problem with his brain? The moment he came out, he asked Lu Ming to destroy his cultivation and leave with him. Who did he think he was? Therefore, Lu Ming spoke up and said indifferently, "Where did this wild dog come from? Why are you barking in front of my door? Do you want to be my guard dog?" What? What did you just say? As soon as Lu Ming said that, Holy Sky was stunned. Lu Ming actually dared to speak to him like that? Bastard, do you know who I am? Listen well, I'm a member of the Xing family, a direct descendant of the Xing family. Now, kneel down and admit your mistake, slap yourself 100 times, and then destroy your own cultivation. Xing Kong shouted. What bullshit Xing family? I've never heard of them. You were the one who attacked the Eastern Heaven courtyard just now, right? Very well, you've struck 9 times in total. I'll give you 9 slaps before you can leave. Lu Ming said indifferently. Everyone nearby was dumbfounded. Lu Ming was extremely arrogant. He was so arrogant in front of the direct descendant of the Shing family. He was simply courting death. Even without the Shing family's name, the other party was still a powerful martial king. Lu Ming was simply courting death. However, they did not know that Lu Ming had never heard of the Shing family. Moreover, given Lu Ming's character, even if he knew, he would have the same attitude. Shen Kong, Shen Wei, and the others were also dumbfounded. Especially Saint Kong, whose face was flushed red and his body was bursting with intense killing intent. He was so angry that he was trembling. He glared at Lu Ming and roared, "Little bastard, you're looking for death. You're looking for death. No one can save you." Boom! A tsunami-like aura burst out of the saint air. The terrifying pressure spread out for 10 miles. What a strong aura! This is a Level 2 Martial King Realm expert. Who is it? You dare to attack in the residence of the Ditian Divine Guards. In the distance, many figures rushed out of a mountain peak. The previous batch of Ditian Divine Guards lived on this mountain peak. Many of them had even broken through to the Martial King realm. Buzz! Whoosh! The Ditian Divine Guards were also flying over. When they found out that it was a direct descendant of the Shing family, they were all shocked. No one dared to interfere. Now, kneel. Die. The holy sky roared and stepped forward. He waved his palm and a huge khaki palm pressed down on Lu Ming. He's so strong. He's at the Level 2 Martial King realm, and his combat strength is definitely at the top of the Level 2 Martial King realm. He's a peerless genius. Lu Ming is finished. This person is more than 10 times stronger than Xue Chao. As soon as the holy air made its move, all sorts of thoughts flashed through the minds of the people around him. You're just a Level 2 Martial King realm martial artist. What's there to be proud of? Lu Ming's calm voice was heard just as the huge khaki palm was about to hit Lu Ming. Then, Lu Ming threw a punch. The huge khaki palm exploded as if it was made of tofu. Lu Ming stepped forward. In a flash, he appeared in front of the holy sky. The holy sky did not expect Lu Ming to be able to break through his attack so easily and appear in front of him so quickly. According to the Thunder Palace Master and Xing Wushuang, wasn't Lu Ming only a half-step king 2 months ago? How could a half-step king have such a strong battle power? Therefore, it was already too late for him to dodge. Lu Ming raised his hand and slapped. Pa! The crisp sound of the slap spread far and wide. The slap made Saint Kong spin more than 10 times on the spot. He then looked at Lu Ming with a dumbfounded expression. He was completely stunned. The others were also stunned. All of them widened their eyes and stared at it. Lu Ming had actually slapped Holy Sky. How did he do it? The aura that had just burst out from the Holy Sky had reached Level 2 Martial King realm. Everyone thought they were dreaming. The first slap, 8 more slaps. It was only when Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out that everyone came to their senses. CSI. Immediately, gasps were heard. A king, a king. To be able to defeat Shen Kong's attack and slap him, he was definitely a king. Lu Ming had already reached the king's realm. How was this possible? Wasn't this speed a little too fast? Not long ago, when Lu Ming challenged Xue Chao, he was only a half-step king. In less than 2 months, Lu Ming had already reached the king realm. He was simply a monster. One had to know that even peerless geniuses would have to stay at the half-step king realm for a period of time. It could be as short as a year, or as long as several years before they could attempt to break through to the king realm. Furthermore, the success rate was not high. Now, Lu Ming had actually become a king in just a few months. Moreover, he had even slapped a second-grade martial king realm genius in the face. This was simply unbelievable. Especially Xing Wushuang, who was so shocked that his eyes were about to pop out and his body was trembling violently. A few months ago, he had reprimanded Lu Ming. He could still remember it clearly. Now, Lu Ming had completely left him in the dust. Only then did the sacred sky react and let out a crazy cry. Pa! Lu Ming waved his hand and slapped Shinkong's face again. Shinkong's scream stopped abruptly and his body flew far away. You're looking for death. On the side, Saintly Might let out an angry cry. A terrifying aura burst out of his body. Strands of red flames surrounded him. The scorching aura spread out, burning and twisting the space. The aura of a peak lever 2 Martial King realm. Blazing Dragon Fist. Die! He roared and threw a punch. A dragon of flames pounced at Lu Ming with its fangs and claws bared. It was extremely terrifying. Even an ordinary warrior of the early stage of the 3rd level of the Martial King realm would not dare to take this attack head-on. There was no doubt that Xing Wei was a peerless genius. He could even cross levels to fight a Martial King. True Dragon Strike. The demon-subduing spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands. He thrust the spear forward and a 3-colored true dragon flew out. The 2 true dragons collided in the air. Chapter 499. 499 Chapter 499 Sacred Light Strikes. Boom! A deafening explosion and a dragon's roar reverberated through the heavens and earth. In the end, the dragon of flames was no match for him. It exploded piece by piece and disappeared. Roar! Although the 3-colored true dragon was much smaller, it still pounced toward the holy aura. Xing Wei's body trembled violently as he retreated. The scene was dead silent. Lu Ming was way too powerful. Not only had he broken through to the Martial King realm, but he was also no match for the holy aura of a peak lever 2 Martial King. This was unbelievable. Boom! Lu Ming strode forward and waved his hand. A huge palm print enveloped the holy sky. Let's attack together. The Saint Sky roared. On the other side, the Saint Might had also recovered. It burst out with all its power and charged toward Lu Ming. When the 2 of them joined forces, their power was extremely terrifying. However, it was all in vain. Boom! Boom! After a few explosions, Xing Wei coughed out blood and retreated like a cannonball. Then, there was another crisp slap. Lu Ming had slapped Holy Sky's face again. The 3rd slap. Lu Ming's calm voice was heard. Die, die, little bastard, I want you to die without a burial place. Die. The sacred sky roared like a madman. He was going crazy. Who was he? He was a direct descendant of the Xing family, and a peerless genius at that. He had grown up with a golden spoon in his mouth. Who would dare to treat him like this? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he was slapped 3 times by Lu Ming. This was worse than killing him. So much nonsense, fight! Lu Ming's figure moved and he charged towards the holy sky again. The holy sky roared in anger and attacked Lu Ming madly, but it was all in vain. Pa! He received another heavy slap on his face. It was extremely clear and could be heard clearly. The 4th slap. Lu Ming's calm voice was heard again. The holy sky roared wildly, his heart on the verge of collapse. The others felt a chill in their gums, as if this slap had landed on their faces. Lu Ming, let go of holy sky. Do you know that you've caused a great disaster? On the side, Xing Wei roared. His face was full of horror, and he didn't dare to help. What a joke, I slapped him a few times and it's a great disaster. He just attacked the eastern sky courtyard. Why don't you say that he has caused a great disaster? Lu Ming chided with a cold smile. Lu Ming, we're the direct descendants of the Xing family, did you know that? We are different from you. Die! Xing Wei roared, especially addressing the direct descendants of the Xing family. What bullshit, direct descendant of the Shing family. He's worthless in my eyes. Pa! As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, he slapped Sacred Sky's face again. The 5th slap. Pa! The 6th slap. The 7th slap. The sound of slaps rang out continuously. At the scene, everyone was dumbfounded as they looked on in a daze. Especially Sheng Wushuang, whose face was drained of all color and his body was trembling in fear. At that moment, Shen Kong's face was swollen like a pig's head. All the meridians in his body were sealed, and he had completely lost the power to resist. Stop! When Lu Ming was done with his 8th slap and was about to give his 9th, an earth-shattering roar came from afar. Ha! Lu Ming, you're dead. Put down the holy sky. Hearing this voice, Sheng Wei was overjoyed, because this voice belonged to the elder's sacred glory. Lu Ming frowned and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. However, his palm did not stop and he slapped down for the 9th time. Pa! Shen Kong's entire body was sent flying. How dare you! You're looking for death. The voice rang out again, filled with rage and cold killing intent. Buzz! Buzz! There were 2 more figures at the scene. One of them was the master of Thunder Palace, and the other was an elder of the Shing family, Xing Yao. At this moment, their eyes were filled with a terrifying killing intent. Damn it, Lu Ming, that little bastard has broken through to the martial king realm and his combat strength is so strong. Chang Kong and the rest are probably dead. Thunder Palace Master roared in his heart. Previously, he thought that someone was helping Lu Ming. However, it was proven that Lu Ming did not need anyone's help at all. The experts that he had sent were not Lu Ming's match. He had already tried his best to overestimate Lu Ming. He had set up a chain of traps and even sent a 3rd-level Martial King and 4 2nd-level Martial King experts to deal with Lu Ming, who was only a half-step king. This was simply an impossible situation to fail in, but it had failed. Little bastard, I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? Sacred Light looked at Lu Ming with an extremely cold gaze. Didn't I just stop? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lu Ming, do you know who this is? This is an elder of the Shing family. How dare you quibble in front of an elder of the Shing family? You're courting death. Also, how dare you injure the hero of the Shing family? You've committed a grave crime. Shouldn't you kneel down and destroy your cultivation? Thunder Palace Master shouted. Plead guilty. Hee, that guy attacked the Eastern Sky Courtyard without asking for the right or wrong. According to the rules, he should be punished. I was just fighting back. What crime do I have? Lu Ming replied indifferently without any fear. Shut up, who are you? How can a lowly life be compared to the Shing family's direct line of descent? Kneel down and admit your guilt. Thunder Palace Master shouted. I'll kneel to your mother. Old man, you think you're a dog, but don't think of others as dogs. If you want to kneel and lick the Shing family's boots, then go back and slowly kneel and lick them. Lu Ming shouted. He was already filled with killing intent towards the Palace Master of Thunder Palace. Now that the Palace Master of Thunder Palace kept calling him a little bastard and then knelt down to admit his guilt, Lu Ming was instantly enraged. He did not give him any face at all. The other Detian Divine Guards were dumbfounded. This Lu Ming was simply too audacious. He actually dared to scold the Thunder Palace Master in public. As expected, the Thunder Palace Master's face turned red and his body trembled with anger. He pointed at Lu Ming and shouted, treasonous, treasonous. Brother Zheng, why are you wasting your breath on him? We'll talk after we cripple his cultivation. Die! The Holy Brilliance shouted coldly and raised his hand. A terrifying fire concept burst out, forming a giant flaming hand that grabbed at Lu Ming. The world was scorching hot. Both of them had the same fire concept, but the holy power and the holy brilliance were trash. They were worlds apart. There was no comparison at all. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He could feel a terrifying aura of death approaching him. The aura was so strong that he could not resist it at all. The difference was too great. Let's go. The Divine Guard's token glowed. Behind Lu Ming, the protective light screen of the eastern sky courtyard cracked open and Lu Ming rushed in. Then, the light screen gathered. Hide. Was there any use hiding inside? Break. Holy Light shouted coldly. Boom. The huge fire palm directly hit the light curtain of the eastern sky courtyard. The light curtain shook violently, and the entire mountain peak shook as if it was going to explode. However, in the end, the light screen still managed to block the attack. Again. Sacred Light frowned and struck out with another palm. This palm was several times stronger than the previous one. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you dare to disrespect me? Only death awaits you. Thunder Palace Master sneered in his heart. As for Xing Wushuang, he was also overjoyed. Die, die. Lu Ming, no matter how arrogant you are, what's the use of facing the Xing family? In the Tianxian region, apart from the Mu family, the Xing family is the sky and everything. Xing Wushuang laughed wildly in his heart. At this moment, a gust of wind blew, and the flaming hand that covered the eastern sky courtyard dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into nothingness. The eastern heaven courtyard regained its peace. In the eastern sky courtyard, Lu Ming spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His clothes were stained with blood, his face was pale, and his breathing was shallow. He was already seriously injured just now. Old man. Lu Ming lay on the ground and cursed. Outside the eastern sky courtyard, the holy light's expression changed. Mu Zheng. A solemn voice came out of holy light's mouth. Without a sound, an old man in a green robe appeared with a faint smile on his face. This subordinate greets the palace master. The Wind Palace Master, Fire Palace Master, and the others, including the Thunder Palace Master, changed their expressions and hurriedly saluted the old man. What? The Palace Master? Ah. Could he be the Palace Lord of the Eastern Palace of the Tianxian region? This time, many of the Ditian Divine Guards revealed shocked expressions. The Palace Lord of the Eastern Palace of the Tianxian region was a mysterious figure, and very few people had ever seen him. No one had expected him to show up today. This subordinate greets the palace master. The Ditian Divine Guards present all saluted the green-robed elder. Damn it, isn't Mu Zheng in closed-door cultivation? Why did he come out of seclusion? Damn it! Thunder Palace Master roared in his heart. No need to be so polite. Mu Zheng waved his sleeve and a gentle breeze blew. Everyone felt a gentle force lifting them up. Palace Master. Could it be that the Palace Master has arrived? In the eastern sky courtyard, Lu Ming naturally heard the voices outside and his expression changed. Then, he struggled to get up and walked out of the eastern sky courtyard. As soon as Lu Ming walked out, everyone's eyes turned to him in unison. This little bastard is still alive. It can actually move. The Thunder Palace Master thought. The Wind Palace Master and the others heaved a sigh of relief. However, Sacred Light's eyes were filled with killing intent. Mu Zheng, you've come at the right time. This little bastard has offended his superiors, talked back to his elders, and even injured the elites of my Xing clan. He deserves to die 1,000 deaths. Now, I'll take him back to the central region and deal with him. Xing Yao said coldly. Hee, Xing Yao, don't play this trick in front of me. Do you think I don't know what kind of people you are? Lu Ming beat up your Sheng family member, and you're the one who asked for it. You're useless, so who can you blame? Is there a need to talk back to an elder? As an elder, if he didn't do what an elder should do, shouldn't he talk back? We can fight. Mu Jing smiled faintly and casually glanced at the Thunder Palace Master. Thunder Palace Master's face immediately turned pale, and his heart turned cold. Mu Jing, what's wrong with you? It seems like you're determined to interfere today. Sheng Yao's face was extremely ugly as he shouted. This place is the eastern palace of the Tianxian region and is under my jurisdiction. What do you think about causing trouble here? Mu Jing said. Good, very good. Mu Jing, I've heard that you're about to open up your spirit ocean and break through to the spirit ocean realm. Today, I'd like to give it a try. Sacred Light's eyes showed a trace of fighting intent. A battle in the air. Mu Zheng's answer was very simple. Buzz. Buzz. Mu Zheng and the Sacred Glory flashed and rushed into the sky. Boom. An earth-shaking boom came from the sky, and a powerful pressure spread out for hundreds of miles. The wind and the flames covered the entire sky. Chapter 501. 501 The Peak Battle. It was as if a sun had exploded in the sky. A blazing storm spread down from the sky. Not good. The Wind Palace Master, Fire Palace Master, and the others moved and appeared above the crowd. With a wave of their hands, they formed a light screen and blocked the firestorm that was surging toward them. Boom. 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 Following that, terrifying rumbles sounded in the sky. Those with lower cultivation felt their eardrums rumble and their faces turned pale. They almost vomited blood. As for those at the rank of Martial King and above, they were staring at the sky. However, most people could not see their figures clearly. They could only see a mass of green energy and a mass of red energy constantly bombarding each other. Each time it struck, it would produce an earth-shaking boom. The blazing light simply covered the sun in the sky. Fortunately, the two of them were fighting in the sky. If they were on the ground within 100 miles would have been cracked. Is this the power of a peak-tier king? He's really strong. Lu Ming looked up at the sky, his fists clenched tightly. This kind of power was indeed far beyond his current strength. However, he was not discouraged at all. Instead, his eyes were burning with fighting spirit. As long as you give me 2 years, I can definitely surpass that old man. Lu Ming muttered. The battle in the sky continued, and it became more and more intense. Finally, green and red light filled the entire sky, and the people below could no longer see what was happening above. After about 2 minutes. Hoo-hoo. The green and red lights dissipated, and 2 figures flew down from the sky. It was Mu Zheng and Sacred Glory. But now, Sacred Glory looked very embarrassed. It was panting like a bull, its face was slightly pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of its mouth. On the other hand, Mu Zheng's breathing was calm, his face was ruddy, and his clothes were neat and tidy. He was completely fine. Sheng Yao, I'll let you off this time. Let's go and leave the eastern part of the Tianxian region. Mu Zheng said. Ha, good, very good. Mu Zheng, do you think that you can protect this little bastard like this? He's too naive. If the Sheng family wants him dead, he'll die. Holy Light shouted. Sheng Yao, do you think that the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace belongs to your Sheng family? The ruler of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace is Martial Emperor De. We are just helping Martial Emperor De manage the various places. Your Sheng family will be burned by fire sooner or later with such behavior. Mu Zheng shouted. Mu Zheng, the Sheng family is loyal. You don't have to use Martial Emperor De to suppress me. I'll make it clear today. You've helped him once, but you can't help him a second time. You've offended the Sheng family, and your fate has been decided. Shut up. Holy Light shouted coldly. He then looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, little bastard, just you wait, you won't have many days left. Old man, I was just about to say the same words to you. I'll remember what happened today. Wash your neck clean and wait for me. One day, I'll cut off your head. Lu Ming retorted, giving tit for tat. Ha ha ha. Sacred Glory laughed in anger. Cold killing intent burst out from his body. He stared at Lu Ming and said, it's useless to have a sharp tongue. Just you wait. Let's go back to the Sheng family. Sheng Yao waved his hand and led the way to the exit of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. The Holy Sky and Holy Might glared at Lu Ming with bitter resentment, then followed the Holy Brilliance and left in the distance. Elder, wait for me. Sheng Wushuang was so scared that his face turned pale. He didn't dare to stay here any longer. When Sacred Light and the others left, he would be in trouble. Therefore, he simply left with Sacred Light and the others. This little bastard, he's escaped again. Thunder Palace Master was filled with hatred. With a move, he left the place. The storm had ended with Mu Zheng's arrival. Junior Lu Ming greets the Palace Master. Thank you for saving me. Lu Ming came in front of Mu Zheng and saluted with cupped fists. However, his mind was spinning rapidly. Mu Zheng, also surnamed Mu, I wonder how he's related to Mulan. Mu Zheng revealed a warm smile and said, there's no need to thank me. This is the Eastern Palace of the Tianxian region, and you're my Ditian Divine Guard. It's only right for me to help you. At this moment, the Wind Palace Master, Fire Palace Master, and Gold Palace Master had also arrived. Lu Ming, are you alright? The Wind Palace Master asked worriedly. Thank you for your concern, Palace Master Feng. It's just a small injury, nothing serious. Lu Ming said. That's good. The Wind Palace Master and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ming, this rejuvenated spirit pill is very good for healing. Take it and go back to heal your injuries. Also, you have to improve your strength as soon as possible. I don't think the Sheng family will let this go easily. Mu Zheng looked at Lu Ming and said. Many thanks, Palace Master. Lu Ming did not refuse. He took the pill and bowed. Then, he turned around and returned to the Eastern Sky Courtyard. Go back to your own cultivation. Mu Zheng waved his hand slightly. All the onlookers had left. In the end, only Mu Zheng was left. At this moment, a young man in a white robe stepped through the air and appeared beside Mu Zheng. If Lu Ming was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that this young man was Mu Xiuyuan. He was the one who came to warn Lu Ming to be careful of other people's challenges when Lu Ming first joined the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. Sixth uncle. Mu Xiuyuan saluted Mu Zheng. Mu Zheng looked at the Eastern Heaven Courtyard and frowned. After a while, he sighed and said, there's a limit to what we can do to help that girl. They'll have to rely on them Slaviers for the rest. Sixth uncle, you don't have to worry too much. I think Lu Ming's talent is extremely terrifying. In a few years, he might be able to compete with the Holy Star. Mu Xiuyuan said. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to wait a few years. Mu Zheng sighed. Mu Xiuyuan was silent and did not speak. Forget it, let's leave it to their good fortune. Let's go. Mu Zheng sighed and left the place with Mu Xiuyuan. Lu Ming walked into the Eastern Sky Courtyard and sat down cross-legged. He took out the pill that Mu Zheng gave him and swallowed it. The moment the pill entered his mouth, it turned into a crystal-like liquid and slid down his throat. Then, it turned into a warm energy that spread throughout Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's injured body was recovering rapidly. His cracked bones were also healing rapidly. What a mysterious healing elixir. This is probably an upper level 5 elixir. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Soon after, he circulated the True War Dragon technique and combined it with the medicinal effects of the elixir to begin healing his injured body. Lu Ming's injuries were recovering rapidly. A day later, Lu Ming's injuries had fully recovered. Lu Ming took a bath in the small stream in the courtyard. He washed off the blood scabs on his body, revealing his bronze-colored skin. Then, Lu Ming changed into a long black robe, looking very energetic. What's the reason for the Sheng family? You're suddenly finding trouble with me and even want to bring me to the central continent. Is it because I beat up Sheng Wushuang? Lu Ming sat cross-legged and thought to himself. This matter was a little strange. If it was because of their grudge against Sheng Wushuang, the Sheng family wouldn't have made such a big move. They even sent out peak-tier kings. How was this possible? Lu Ming had some doubts about this matter. Forget it. If I can't figure it out, I'll stop thinking about it. Now, I'll continue to refine spiritual crystals and raise my cultivation. Lu Ming took out another 10,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals and exploded them. He then began to devour the spiritual energy in the top-grade spiritual crystals to improve his cultivation. Soon, he finished devouring the 10,000 supreme spiritual crystals and took out another 10,000 to continue devouring. After devouring 30,000 pieces, Lu Ming's cultivation had successfully broken through to the peak of the first-level Martial King realm. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.